A very happy new year and a happy Tuesday to you. Welcome to 2024. And welcome to a full RKW. Once again, the show is completely back together with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Robert Walsh, our producer. My name is Will Bowling. There is so much football to talk about that 4 hours might not be enough. But we're going to do our very best this morning. Streaming live at 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Good morning, everyone. How are we?
We're good.
Good,
2024, baby.
Absolutely. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Will, you too. Nah, just kidding. Happy New Year, everybody, man. January 2nd, man. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Gyms will be flooded today.
Most annoying thing I've ever
Just be nice to them. If they need help, just let them know. If they need to know that they spray their own equipment and wipe it down themselves, just feel free to hand them a spray bottle.
It's the most aggravating part of the gym.
That's the
right
one.
there.
And do not agree to video any of their stuff.
I've never actually been asked to.
I'm joking because a lot of the stories that I hear from you guys at the gym are these people that are filming themselves while they're doing their workouts. So
I will say at my gym, I hadn't seen the camera out to try to get a gotcha moment. They just it's just a community of folks, man, just doing their stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it can be bothersome. That's all. It can be real bothersome. But I've taken the approach that, look, you know what? If you're in the way, you're going to get moved over at the gym. Just that simple. Okay? If you're camped out over a section that I want to be at, then guess what? I'm going to pitch a tent too. That's just where I'm at with it. You know, there's no other way around that one. But
I see you.
I hadn't had a gotcha moment. I just see him and just be like, you know, that's a bit extra right there. But it is the way people live. It is the way people live. So,
how was everyone's New Year's?
Good. I don't do anything for New Year's, so mine's not really. I'm kind of a New Year's not person.
Really?
Yeah. New Year's never worked out when I tried to plan it as a youth.
Yeah.
In America.
A youth?
So, yes. So now as a adult in America, I don't like it.
For real?
Yeah. It's like I'll watch all the shows and stuff, but I'm just like, I can't be amongst the people on New Year's. Too much.
I feel you. I had a get together at my house, man. It was actually pretty cool. Enjoyed it. Had a good amount of people over. The kids were over. Everybody had a good time. I finally popped that huge bottle of champagne I had. I've had it for like 5 years. This is like a Magnum bottle. That was
what?
Yeah, it was super good. I bought it in Pittsburgh a while back just as, okay, yeah, I'll get a huge bottle for the house. And it's been like 3 times. I'm going to pop it this time. I'm going to pop it this time. And I finally did it this past weekend. Gosh, it was amazing, too. But all in all,
Did it go bye-bye? Was it gone?
Yeah, it was. If the bottle was, honestly, it was like 2.5 feet tall. The bottle was real big. Wow. It was probably just like, 6 inches left in it. So, yeah, it went down. Impressive. But we were over pouring it, though, too, because it was one of those big old bottles. So I'm like, yo, this got to go. I don't want to waste this bottle. And it was really cool, man. We did watch the Dick Clark.
Yeah.
That one. And I was like, gosh, it just doesn't feel right because it's just 11 o'clock here. But we watched all the performances and then switched over to the Nashville ball drop. Apparently, it went national. It did really good this past weekend.
It was national. It was on CBS.
It was.
As a national actual countdown show.
For Central.
Because, well, I think it was everywhere.
For everyone?
I could watch it in Orlando.
Yeah.
Out of here.
Mm-hmm. That's now national.
Look at Nashville. I thought we were in an entertainment city.
Whoever said that?
That person might not be smart.
Ever claimed that.
Golly, but it was good, man. I had one of my good friends, VFL. He catered for us. Man, last minute found a bartender, which was hard to do. Yeah, so
that's an invitation I'd take. I think even on New Year's.
It was solid, but it wasn't anything crazy. My neighbors behind me, they were having to get together. Some of my neighbors did come over too. Good people, good fun, good friends, man. Kissed my wife as the ball dropped down. We took pictures as a family. We had a makeshift backdrop in the house. Took family pictures, man. And it was pretty solid. It was real chill. Just what I needed. It was real cool.
For the first time ever, I did not have ABC in the hotel I was staying in.
How?
Like they didn't offer it.
Huh.
So I just watched this like live stream that like some Fox station did of just like the New York ball dropping with no commentary over it. It was kind of nice, actually.
Did you see the Dallas one?
No.
They did like these like drone like things, and they went through all the decades. And then they dropped them. It was incredible. I was like, what is this drone thing that they're doing now? But it was, I think they showed that on there.
That's actually pretty solid right there, just to be real with you. I didn't even know anything about that.
Look it up.
Robert Walsh, good morning. Happy New Year. Welcome.
I haven't seen you guys since last year.
I know, such a long time.
6:05. Honestly, I think the Vegas odds would have been me making that joke would have been the most likely.
Yeah.
Just wanted to take it off the plate for everybody else.
Yeah, sure.
That's good.
You should. My neighbor's kid is just like, everybody's kids was over their house. Man, I hadn't taken a shower since last year. I was like, Maddox, leave.
Get out.
You should go now.
I think it's so funny.
It was. And he just kept saying, and I was like, you know what? Right on. You should just stick to the script, okay?
Right.
See, kids like that, you ever get baby fever, all you got to do is hang out with kids like that, man. It's like, man, I could put it off for another couple of years.
Preach.
That was it. But to that point, he does some awesome stuff, though. Same kid, man, that for Christmas, he got my player card. And I signed it for him, and I got the video of them giving it to him.
They make those?
Where's my brick?
Interior lineman?
That's crazy because I have looked for a Ramon Foster card and cannot find them.
Yes, I have.
Did you buy them all?
No, well, I got a few people.
Both of them.
One of my high school classmates actually sent me when I retired. He was collecting all of my cards. I got like 6 of them. I had no idea I had cards even. So
You played for how many years and you only have 6 cards?
I hate you, Bert. You're this way because your team
That's
won the
crazy,
North.
man.
Yeah, that's all it is. I get it. You know what? I hope you had some gray in your hair from all the stressing you were doing trying to figure
play
out.
this weekend?
Yeah, they probably gonna sit their starters.
I know.
Yeah, bums.
I'll be there.
Oh, you won't.
I will be there.
What?
Why don't you go with me?
You're going?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Dang. Bert's been to like how many games this year?
It's been about
I think
3.
this is my third one.
That's impressive,
So
man.
just to recap, Ramon first says, I had a very chill New Year's, and then follows up with, we had a bartender, we all took pictures,
He
there
had
was
a
a
huge
backdrop.
bottle of champagne.
There was a valet driver out front that was parking all the important, expensive cars in humble Hendersonville
And we had
of
bottle
people who
service.
wanted to join in. The president showed up, actually. The governor was there, the mayor of Hendersonville to give me the key to the city. It was just a really chill time.
Katy
it
Perry
was really
sang.
cool.
Yeah, he should have showed up.
Anderson Cooper actually did a live look in
Yeah.
at his New Year's party, not in other cities.
You know what? Yeah, it was real close to
That's
it.
great.
Lit a fire out back. Hey, all my accessories around the house was in use, man. I hate you for calling me out on that.
Hey,
'cause
welcome.
It was
real.
actually the chat.
That was real. That was real.
Oh, it was me.
That was
It was me
real.
too.
I'm here
Oh,
for
my
that.
goodness.
I'll take that.
615-737-1045. There is a Titans game to recap from the weekend as the final week of Tennessee Titans football begins this week.
I'll make a comment on that before we go any further. That may have been, it was one particular player, and I'm going to bring it up. That may have been one of the worst displays of like pro ball I had seen in a while.
That's not good.
Just that day, not calling them trash, not calling them sorry, but like the display of football and one particular play sums it all the way up. But yeah, Will, we do got to
Was
discuss
that a tease?
Which Andre Dillard sack was it?
Oh my God. We got a lot. We do. We got a lot to discuss. Just as I watched, I know you guys watched it too, and we all probably had the Vrabel expressions.
Oh, yeah, I tweeted one out.
I was standing behind him. Oh my, I never seen a person with so much despair and just frustration. We'll call it frustration. I don't want to call it despair. It's frustration.
Mm-hmm.
In one game, man. And I feel him. I get it. I do.
Well, we've got that to discuss this morning. We have a very fun college football playoff semifinal yesterday to get into with Washington and Michigan, a Big Ten battle in the national championship.
Technically still the Pac-12.
I know.
10.
Big Ten battle in 2024. Though.
Yep.
Yeah.
New rivals, or
I like
whatever
it.
you want to call it.
Is to me, I feel like it's good on good. I want to see what the ticket sales going to be like for both of them because that's usually the tail on it all. How much are the tickets? But I like this one.
It is interesting that on the day that the Big Ten runner-up, quote-unquote, scores 0 points and barely gets over 100 total yards, there will be 2 future Big Ten teams playing each other in the national championship game. Further giving us hope and confidence that Iowa will never again, under the current administration, be in a Big Ten championship game.
Yeah,
So we've got that as well.
Completely upheal their offense because that's non-existent.
Yeah, it was, and I'm glad. But the Vols' defense is what caused that. So I'm just gonna take all the
that
credit
too.
for
You
got to
take credit, right?
Got to take all the credit for that one. What a game, though. I was worried about the defense. All in all, they could not handle the Vols. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. What was it 232 yards rushing on them? Ha! Couldn't be my defense. But that's neither here nor there, though.
We'll have Austin Price of VolQuest.com at 8:20, Ron Slay at 9:20 to discuss that and all of the college football headlines over the weekend. It was a fun game to go to. I'll say that.
Was
Be
it?
down there? It was very hot.
Oh, it
It was
was?
very hot.
Oh, wow.
In the sun. It was 70, but you were in the sun the whole time. And so, like, the left side of my face is a little bit sunburned.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very happy about it.
How was the crowd?
No, it was fine. That stadium is terrible. That stadium is terrible.
It looks old.
It has probably not been updated in my lifetime.
No
Wow.
way.
I'm dead serious. It has
Other
not
than-
been updated in my lifetime. I knew it was bad, so I knew what I was expecting going in.
No.
That stadium is terrible.
What about the turf looked fine. That's the only new thing they got.
It was okay, I guess. But
They probably had to, right?
Because-
that is one of the worst. It's the worst football state. That's not true. It's the second worst football stadium I've ever been in. Besides the one down the road that's not going to look the same in a couple months.
That's what I was thinking. Golly, it looked like a great showing though. Nico did his thing. He
was
did
so fun to
exactly what
watch.
we needed him to do in that game. I thought, and you're right, it was fun to watch because anticipation of it was awesome. But the crowd looked like it was good though. The top
was fun,
bowl
yeah.
wasn't filled up, but it's a bowl game. It was mostly filled though, from what I could tell.
Yep. Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. And I've had a lot of dumb people tweet me or give me X posts to begin the new year, which I'll get to that soapbox at some point.
How were their fans, real quick?
Later
Though?
on
Were
in the
they
show.
crazy, good, bad?
Iowa?
Iowas?
Indifferent. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just kind of,
Okay, I was
they
gonna
were
say-
there.
They're just nice people.
I
I don't
know,
know. Like, they
right?
just,
That's all I need.
Having
to
to
know.
suffer through a season with no offense.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, they just kind of existed.
Okay. That's
They were
fair.
so far away. Well, these two guys were sitting in the Tennessee section, like totally surrounded next to me, and they did not come back to their seats for the second
They
half.
did
I think they
not?
found seats with friends, which is probably smart.
Good idea.
615-737-1045. Titans and Texans recap coming up next, including an offensive line that, well, again, looked like the Titans' offensive line in 2023. 615-737-1045. We'll talk Titans and Texans coming up next. Welcome to your Tuesday morning at RKW, brewed by 8th and Rose. 615-737-1045 is our number. And, guys, it is another day where we remind everyone what day of the week it is.
Yes.
It's Tuesday.
There we go.
It is Tuesday, my dudes. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Titans taking a loss in Houston once again over the weekend, and it was ugly. Ramon Foster already giving the statement this morning that it was one of the worst displays of pro football that you have seen. What specifically are you alluding to?
One, just predictability of it all. I thought, I don't want to call it predictable. I just want to call it you knew what was going to happen. So, yes, that's predictable. Mom, stop sugarcoating stuff, okay?
Thank you.
All right, yeah, it's predictable. Houston is that much better, I think, right now. Their quarterback, C.J. Stroud, is solid. He's bigger than you think he is. He's got the tools, the intangibles, the coolness about it. That's one thing I'm hoping for Levis. He brings back. Bring a little bit of cool and ease to the job. Like, you can press and be adamant about being successful, but bring it back. There's one play, though, that sums up, and there's a lot of plays in that game, right, that you just probably head in hand a lot.
Yeah, because that's what Vrabel did.
Yeah, it was. And bending your back just to those types of moments. I think it was 3rd and 1 in the game. They had 2 tight ends in. Rager and Chig were
Kevin
both
Rader.
in. Kevin Rader. Raider. I call him Rager.
He was raging, probably.
It's combining Raidens and Raider.
Yeah. Raider and Chig were both in. Juku came in also as a declared offensive lineman, and so did Corey Levin. 3rd and 1. They motioned Tannehill out to the left. I said, man, they're going big. And they lost 2 yards. You had 2 extra offensive linemen in the game. You also had 2 tight ends in the game. You removed the quarterback element of the handoff, and you still lost 2 yards. That's probably one of the worst plays I've seen executed in my life. Like, I know Derek is going to get the ball because he's in a Wildcat. Duh. But you had no will, no power, no moxie about you, no drive, no anything to get 1 yard. Instead, you lost 2. That was by far one of the worst plays I think I've seen, to where you're slated to actually win. One of the biggest possible formations you could ever have in football. 2 extra O-linemen, 2 tight ends, and the ball directly going to the running back, and you lost yards. That was just like, okay, yeah, we're cooked. The obvious take, of course, like you said, with Dillard's situation, he was chipping. Tajay chipped. He opened up so wide, and ended up giving a sack. And I was just like, the next play, I'm telling Philip Noel of Titans Radio, like, man, they got watch, it's about to happen again. I told him, I said, it's about to happen again, because they put Andre Dillard with no chip this time. And y'all, Will Anderson went right around him for a cleaner sack this time. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, my God. And Juku and Raiden's on the right side, of course, the extra tight end set too. And Will Levis getting hit so hard and the scoop and score right after that. It was, if you were looking for a bad tape, that was a bad tape. Like, as players on days like today, they probably didn't go in on New Year's Day. On days like today, when the film is about to play, you feel like your heart rate go up. You feel anxiety go up. You feel like I used to clench my fists like I did. Like the tension of watching film, because everybody's about to watch your plays, good or bad. On the bad plays, like, I would just clench up and heart rate go up and stuff like that, because nobody wants to see it. They deserve to see all of that. Like, that's just where it's at. As far as the execution of it, the execution and will of what needs to happen just could not. And then, of course, I think Tierra ended up having like 3 tackles on the day, impacted the run game and all those types of things too. So you had a familiar. It's just so much, and I don't want to overtalk this, but that one particular play, and I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna back up out of it. You had 2 tight ends in the game. You had 2 declared offensive linemen in the game. Derek gets the ball in the King Cat and loses 2 yards. That should just tell you where this group is offensively and just as a team, too, because it couldn't really stop a whole lot defensively either.
Well, for me, I mean, it all starts every game with whether the offensive line is going to be decent or just poor. And it's been mostly poor this season. And those decent games that they've given us as a line, they've been able to get a win. But, I mean, this is to the point now, if we are benching the left tackle and then unbenching the left tackle and then benching the left tackle, I mean, there's a problem there, folks. There is a serious problem, and it is a main reason why there has been nothing in terms of solidified on this line this year. I'm not going to just blame it on that, but that's a big part of it. And it is for Peter Skoronski, too, who I know is getting a lot of hate right now because he's not playing his best football towards the end of the season, that's for sure. I think, if anything, we're talking a lot more about him than we ever did this season, and that's never a good thing. That comes from Ramon Foster. That's what he's told us on the O-line. The other thing I can't understand this year, and I get it, there are a lot of new players and there are a lot of new faces, especially at the end of the year on this team, because you've got a lot of guys on IR. But the mistakes and the penalties that this team continues to make, like Caleb Murphy, for instance, the special teams penalty. Like, this team at one point a couple years ago under Mike Vrabel, they were the least penalized team. Like, they were extremely disciplined. I feel like if they had an issue, you learn from it. This season, especially, I don't feel like anyone's learned from mistakes because the penalties keep happening, and they're same situational penalties where they really, really hurt them when they're kind of getting some momentum going. So this team is just, right now, to me, it looks undisciplined. The lack of talent is apparent right now. And amongst all that, we still got Derrick Henry and D-Hop to reach 1,000 yards. If that's not the weirdest thing you've ever heard, it happens for the Tennessee Titans, of course.
And the only team in the NFL with 2 double-digit sack getters on defense.
Crazy.
Heard that too.
Mike Keith on Titans Radio giving that stat. It was interesting. This game went by so quickly because there were only 4 penalties in the game between the two teams. But the one you're mentioning, Kayla, was a big one.
Yep.
For Caleb Murphy, the running into the kicker on a 4th and 4. That was enough, and they're complaining, well, this should have been roughing. Well, it doesn't matter. You still got a first down. The way that went. The offensive line just makes it difficult to evaluate this offense. And I know Treylon Burks had the drop on the opening drive and did not do himself any favors moving forward with this team, but it's hard for me to know what the Titans have in him and in any of those receivers not named DeAndre Hopkins when there is so little time to throw. And to give credit where credit is due, I actually thought Ryan Tannehill played really well in this game. He was accurate. He was decisive when he had more than a half of a second to throw the football. But, I mean, the Titans in this game went on an 8-minute drive where they had, 6 plays inside the 10-yard line after a really stupid penalty for Houston. Extended that drive from former Titan Desmond King, and they still couldn't get in the end zone. That was the story of this one to me. And Ryan Tannehill's statement after the game that he felt like John Wick at the end of the movie and that there were absolutely plays where he had no chance. I mean, that's all you really need to say right there. Just take what the quarterback said.
I couldn't believe he said that. If that's like Tupac Shakur hit him up diss right there. Like, that's
5 shots couldn't kill me.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. He said at the end of the game he felt like John Wick at the end of the movie, basically. Like, do you know how beat up John Wick is at the end of the movie if you people have never seen
That's
those?
what I was gonna say.
I've
Put
never
it in
seen them, but I
perspective.
still even know. I mean, that's for sure.
The man can barely walk.
Yeah.
He's got bullet holes in him. He's got cut marks. He's got stab wounds in him. If there was a way, like, he basically told them, like, yeah, y'all suck. That's essentially what that statement was right there. It's like, yeah, they suck up front. Y'all wanted to blame me all these years, and yeah, you're right. And to your point, too, about Treylon on the deep ball, I was, of course, talking like, golly, they got to go back to it. It was there. It was there. And then Phil in my ear said, well, you got to have protection to do that play again.
Sure.
And I was like, didn't register.
And they get that once every blue moon.
At the beginning of the game,
Yeah.
when you try
Exactly.
to trick people because of the script and stuff like that. But the flow of it, the absolute execution of plays, the flow of the game just wasn't there. And to your point of bringing up Ryan Tannehill again. I think we all should probably take a step back and just reevaluate his career from a different lens so far. I don't think he's going to end up being here next year. I can't see him taking a backup role and, that type of stuff. But reevaluate how we looked at Tannehill. Because here we are with a new young guy, fiery, gritty, can't wait to make plays. Young, don't know any better. And we've had 2 times this season where this young man has been knocked out of the game. We're talking about 2 separate quarterbacks. You almost got to give Malik a little bit of grace.
I mean, Malik's probably on the bench saying, I'm the winner here. Because he comes out of the season without an ankle injury, a leg injury. I mean, really, it's pathetic to even say that going in as a quarterback this year for the Tennessee Titans, you have a 50-50 shot at leaving the game with an injury, I feel like. That's really been the thing. And Levis, we talked about it all week, guys. Should they play Levis because there's a potential that he gets injured? Should they just keep him upright, and play Tannehill, as bad as that sounds, but put Tannehill in? And then what do we see happen? Gets his foot stepped on. That right side, obviously not the ankle, but straight up got his foot stepped on.
He got dogged out.
What side of that were you all on last week about playing Levis or Tannehill?
I moved towards playing him at the end.
Playing Levis?
Yeah, at the end. I wasn't for it in the beginning.
You got to play Levis.
Yeah, got to play Levis is where it was.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't think they made the wrong decision.
Yeah. They didn't, in my opinion, as far as putting him out there. If he's healthy,
part of it.
That's the thing. So I covered both. I covered 2 teams. One is Pittsburgh. One is so Mason, of course, started this past week, and it was said that Kenny Pickett was healthy. Here's the thing: when you got your franchise guy and your franchise guy is healthy, you start your franchise guy.
Yep.
That just gave Pittsburgh a lot of answers about what Kenny Pickett is to them. Now, here in Nashville, Ryan Tannehill was healthy. Will Levis got back healthy. So guess what? When the franchise quarterback is healthy, he moves back into the starting position. That's appropriate for what's supposed to happen. Will Levis and again, a lot of people didn't want him out there because of the draft pick. Can't be no higher than 7. I think now maybe you can go up to 6 with a lot of help if you lose again. But all in all, you got to put him out there. He needs to see some of that stuff too. It's the same thing too with what was happening with Jalen Duncan. I think it was his wrist that was hurting.
His
so
hands.
They didn't start him.
Yeah.
All in all, he didn't have a great showing either when he went back out there.
Vrabel even alluded the last week. He alluded to the fact they benched him last week.
They benched him?
It wasn't just because his
That's
hand.
terrible.
Yeah, he alluded to the fact last week that they benched him. So that's the thing. At left tackle, it's like there's nobody good enough right now to play.
Yeah, the numbers per Pro Football Focus, and John Glennon put this out yesterday at Glennon Sports. Andre Dillard has allowed 12 sacks this year. That is tied for most among tackles. And on average, he has given up a sack once every 25 pass block snaps. Jalen Duncan has allowed 9 sacks this season. That is tied for 4th most among tackles. The guy's not played that many snaps, but remarkably, the numbers are still similar to Andre Dillard. On average, he has given up a sack once every 23 pass block snaps.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you're getting the same result between either of those two guys, and I understand them riding the hot hand a little bit and just seeing who could maybe get hot for a couple drives, and then that guy struggles, put the other one in. That's what they did.
Yep.
And I don't think there's anybody behind either one of those 2 dudes.
No. John Ojukwu would have been the other one, and he was tackle eligible and gave up a sack immediately.
Yeah.
You see a hit, though?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
615-737-1045 is our number. Eric is in Nashville, first up, leading off the new year. Good morning, Eric.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New
You too.
Year.
You too.
Guys, let me say my thoughts on the game. I get home from church just in time, about midway through the first quarter. I see where we get the Texans stopped, and then I see the run into the kicker, and I said, oh, no. And, of course, they drive right downfield to get a touchdown. And, of course, like you said, penalties have been an issue. Then later on in the game, when we get that positive play with DeAndre Hopkins, we're called for an illegal shift. And, guys, I'm not saying, don't want to go off on the officiating, guys, because we make the penalties, we do. That doesn't bother me. But all I want is consistency, guys, because the thing that bothers me, guys, is when Will Levis got his foot stepped on, clearly a helmet to helmet, no flag thrown, and he fumbles the ball. And it looked like to me he threw up his hand and said, "Where's the flag? Where's the flag?" I remember a few weeks ago against the Colts, Derrick Henry got a helmet to helmet. He had to come out of the game for a possible concussion, no flag. And I've seen that happen time and time again, guys, where we get called for whatever penalty, positive play, touchdown, whatever, whether it's penalties on defense. And I'm not saying whether or not we're committing them. So we do that doesn't bother me. What I want is consistency. When I see the opposition commit an obvious penalty and no flag called, and I know it's going to go off into officiating, guys. Y'all probably get into that play that happened Saturday night. It's just out to the point, guys. I would used to be ambivalent on that, but now I think we need full-time officials, guys. I'm also to the point where I think referees now, because it got so bad, you not only talk about downgrading, I think referees need to get fined, suspended, and if possible, if they're so bad, get fired. I mean, there's got to be a review process about officiating because it just bothers me so much, guys. It is just horrible, guys. And I'm not saying we're a good football team. You know, maybe it makes a difference because we've lost so many close one-score games, but it's just so frustrating to see when an obvious penalty happens and you don't see a flag. Because I guarantee you, if there would have been premier quarterbacks and no flag, they'd be saying helmet to helmet, especially with Tua and his issues of concussions. You're telling me that's not talked about? Just leave it at that. Just get your guys' thoughts. Guys, y'all take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Eric.
thanks, Eric.
Not a great week for NFL officiating. I didn't think specifically that call was really that bad, to be honest with you. The Lions-Cowboys one that he's alluding to, that's a different story. And Brad Allen probably shouldn't be doing NFL games for this final week or certainly the playoffs. But I'll be honest with you. I did not see a helmet-to-helmet hit that was flagrant on Levis's fumble.
No, I didn't see one either. I watched it in slow motion. I feel like when he was I yelled out, "Watch out," because it was that bad. But here's the thing. When you get hit like that in the pocket too, they will allow certain things in the game. Of course, it's the quarterback and you want to protect them at all times. But when you have a play that's that bad and you have an opportunity to block them and you miss and whiff like that, I think sometimes they'll allow those consequences to kind of bite you. That was a bad play by Njoku. And there was nothing that you can do about it. Absolutely. It sucks for Levis, though, just on the basis of he was just getting started. Again, I wanted to see that duel between him and C.J. Stroud, and we absolutely got none of that this past weekend.
Yeah, I think I get the officiating stuff with Eric. I think it's been a little bit nauseating this season in terms of the consistency. I would agree with him on that. Even Coach Dave McGinnis, I listened to, I think it was not this last Sunday's broadcast, but the one before, and he was just like letting them have it, which I enjoyed because he says when I think that they're having a bad game, I'm going to let them know on Titans radio. So it has been inconsistent this year. I don't really know what the simple fix for that is. I don't think there's a simple fix in any way.
It ain't. That's the human element of being an umpire, referee, I think. And truthfully, I think that's a part of the game. And those crews do get knocked for that type of stuff, too.
That's true. They do.
615-737-1045. We'll start with AG on the phones when we come back. We'll take a look at the PFF grades from Sunday's loss in Houston, where one player had a career worst. And it is not a player that you want having a career worst. That is for sure. Next on RKW. We're rolling right along on the first show of the new year. It's RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll take a look at the most telling Titans quote after the game in Houston on Sunday, courtesy of Ryan Tannehill, who got hit but actually made some pretty good throws for the Titans on Sunday in Houston. 615-737-1045. We go back to the phones where AG is in Nashville up next. Hey, AG.
Yeah, I'm feeling like John Wick out here too, man. I'm just trying to just make it to the end of this season, man. It's been a little rough, man, and man, I'm kind of wishing we would have waited till, man, I don't know, man, the John Robinson firing, man. I need something fresh, man, for this offensive line, man. I'm still pointing my fingers at John Robinson, and man, if Mike Vrabel had his hands on this in any type of way, this offensive line, man, next year, man, he just need to sit back and let the people that's hired to do this type of job do the job, man. This offensive line is unexcusable, man. It just done got that bad for me, man.
It
That's
is.
all I got.
Appreciate it, AG.
Happy New
Thank
Year.
you, AG.
Happy New Year.
Appreciate the call. So the PFF grades from this one, guys, were telling. And for Peter Skoronski, it was a new low. Skoronski gave up a sack for a fourth straight game after not giving one up for 8 straight games after starting his career with, I believe, a sack given up in New Orleans. Peter Skoronski had a 32.1 PFF pass block grade on Sunday in Houston. That is his worst in a game this season. Is it trouble you at all that he's taking steps back and not forward this late in his rookie year?
Somewhat. But losing will do that too. Losing and being bad will do that to you, and being very predictable will do that to you. But, yes, you have to stand man to a man on how you perform, though. There's no excuse for performance because that's something that I can control. Is it somewhat troubling? Yeah. Is it one of those big question marks you're going to have to ask him in the offseason about how do you feel about how the end of your season, your rookie year went? Absolutely will, because he needs to understand the pressure of performing this job on a day-to-day basis. This isn't scholarship. You're not going to be in a position anymore to where it's guaranteed. Your performance and your pay is based on your performance just moving forward. But when you look around it, though, it can tell you why is that bad. I think having good teammates make you a better player. I think having a good offense make you a better player, too. It can hide certain deficiencies. What is his run blocking like? Do we know that one, too? Because if that went down, then we really have a problem, Will. Because that's where it's just like you can't be bad in both. You can be, pass pro is by far the hardest thing to learn at the professional level. It is, because guys are just more crafty. He's a rookie going against a dude that's been in the league probably 3, 4, 5 years already. Again, the biggest separator is going to be the mental side of how you prepare and perform.
His run blocking grade against Houston was actually his third highest of the year, 70.3.
So pass pro. Again, looking at just what's all around him and how this group has been getting schemed up, they got beat real bad, him and Dillard, on a TE in the game. And I'm sure you guys saw it. I heard Coach Mack talk about it too. I'm talking about bad. Like, they're getting schemed up against. They're getting pushed back play after play. They're giving the quarterback absolutely no time. There's no strain to what's going on other than the fact that you hope that the ball is gone. So is it troubling? Yeah. Do I expect him to fix it next offseason? 100%. Because to get better, I ain't going to say you have to get embarrassed, but this is embarrassing. And especially having a 32, like, that's barely getting started right there as far as PFF is concerned.
Well, and I know a lot of fans will not stop until they see him at left tackle.
I hope they put him at left
I
tackle.
think people assume because he is maybe floundering here down the stretch at left guard that means he's going to be that much better at left tackle. And I don't see that being the case, because first and foremost, like, this is a side of the line that has been inconsistent all year, and down the stretch has been probably the most inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're even switching guys during games on that side. That is not probably easy, and you can speak to this, Ramon.
Kayla.
It's not easy when you have that flux on the other side of you. I was listening to Brad Hopkins a couple days ago when he was filling in on Blaine and Mickey, and I remember him saying, like, we got to the point where when it's really good when you just don't even have to conversate, right?
Yeah, there's no talking.
I feel like at this point, there's maybe not even a point of that because it's so bad. Like it's just there is no consistency on that side, and I think it's now really showing in Peter's play too.
Yeah.
And if you just switched him to left tackle, I don't think that just immediately solves the problem. I think you get him a left tackle and you then have that side grow together next year, hopefully for years to come. But, I mean, I feel like fans just want to see him at that. Do you put him out there just so they show he's not much better at that spot right now?
It's hard to see the finish line when there's a pile of crap in front of you like this. That's what it is. Like, this takes time. That's one thing we've consistently said. It's going to take time to get this group turned around. And I think we probably got about 2 more years of this. Not of this, but of this development side of trying to build this team up. Again, I hope for the sake of the fans, put him at left tackle. That's what I would tell you.
No.
Well, it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Right,
I know.
right.
The argument that a guy who's struggling in pass protection should move to a position where pass protection is more difficult.
Exactly.
Like, why does that? For anyone saying that the Titans have no option but to put Peter Skronsky at left tackle are just screaming at you that they don't know football. It's genuinely that simple to me. If you were going to move Peter Skronsky to left tackle, it would have happened 2 months ago. This team knows what it has at left tackle at this point. We spoke about it, that they were going to learn what they had in Jalen Duncan and try to answer some questions about 2024 at the end of 2023. And unfortunately, I think they have their answer that Jalen Duncan's not ready to play left tackle yet either.
That's true. We've gotten both of them. And you see a little bit of what his we got to go find Dane Brugler's The Beast from this year.
I love that, yeah.
Yeah, his scouting his scouting summary that he releases every year just to see what it says about Duncan, because one of the things was about his highs are high and his lows are lows, and it's hard to get him motivated in those moments right there. And I think we somewhat saw some of that this past weekend. Like, yeah, he was dealing with a boo-boo with his wrist and stuff like that. But when you look at, his performance, his drive to finish the plays, you can question it at times, of course. And you can say, well, he's young. No, but you're a freaking pro. There's a lot of people, I think, that will be weeded out and put in defined roles moving forward when it comes down to this team. I think the reshaping of this squad should be one of the biggest changes that you see this offseason about the type of player and people that you employ here in Nashville moving forward.
Well, we have what Dan Brugler said. Robert?
Yeah. Dane Brugler for Jalen Duncan, some of his strengths. He has impressive athletic gifts with a tall, moldable frame, has a lateral foot quickness and patient hands to cut off the arc speed and unstressed, and loose in his movements to quickly reset or respond versus spins and shakes. But his weaknesses, he is an upright pass setter and struggles versus length and power. He has wide, tardy hands that often give up his chest and allow rushers to bully him, and he struggles to counter versus long arm techniques who attack his body. Would you say any of those have been approved, or those are still his maligned position?
That lines up perfectly with what I see. Yeah, it does. It does, Bart.
615-737-1045. We'll get to Mark on the phone lines coming up next. We'll also dive deeper into what Ryan Tannehill said post-game and why it was so telling on the Titans' effort in Houston on Sunday. Next, as Hour 2 begins on RKW. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Is your heating system keeping up with the cold weather of winter? Well, available 24/7, 365. The professional Lee Company team is here to help. Maybe you're like me. You went elsewhere for the holidays. You were in warm weather. You came back, and oh no, the cold weather. It's getting to that heating unit, that AC unit, more so than you maybe thought before you left for vacation. Well, Lee Company, they're going to take care of you. Their technicians will perform a 22-point inspection as well as seasonal cleaning and maintenance to keep your home running efficiently this winter. Even better, save $20 on your next heating tune-up visit today. That's $20 off on your home's next heating service. You got to trust the folks at Lee Company. Remember this phone number, easy to remember, 615-567-1000. That's 615-567-1000. 888-567-1000 or go online at leecompany.com for an appointment to keep your home's heating in check. Get $20 off on your home's next heating service with Lee Company at 615-567-1000. Online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need.
Good morning, 7 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Looks like the Vols got one as they took Iowa down 35-0. Nico Iamaleava finished 12 of 19 for 151 yards and a touchdown, while also rushing for 3 more touchdowns to win in the Citrus Bowl. College football playoffs delivered last night in the Rose Bowl. Michigan survives and advances against Alabama in overtime, 27-20. Jalen Milroe was stopped on the 3-yard line in overtime to end the game. Blake Corum scored from 17 yards out in overtime to give Michigan the lead. In the Sugar Bowl, Washington leaves no doubt against Texas, 37-31, as Michael Penix finished with 461 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Dylan Johnson added another 2 on the ground, but suffered a leg injury and had to be carted off the field. So your national championship is 2 undefeated teams. Michigan and Washington will face off next Monday at 6:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2, kicking off a brand new week and a brand new year on RKW. We are brewed by 8th and Roast, the best coffee in Nashville that you can find at your local Kroger and Whole Foods or at any of their 4 locations, 8th Avenue, Charlotte, the airport, and the Broadview at Vanderbilt. 8th and Roast Coffee cultivates community by the cup. 615-737-1045 is our number. Streaming live on the 1045 The Zone app. On the go, in and out of the Music City, where you can listen to us for 4 hours to start every morning. Or you can watch our faces for radio on 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Push, please.
One quote was telling on Sunday, and the Titans lost to the Houston Texans. We mentioned it in the opening hour if you missed it. Ryan Tannehill joked that he felt a little bit like John Wick at the end of one of his movies, but that one's secondary to the other quote, where he only really needed 2 words to answer how exactly he felt. In some instances on Sunday, it was asked, were there plays where you had no realistic chance to make a play? Yeah, definitely.
He said that.
A lot of disaster plays, and Ryan Tannehill was honest about it and said, definitely.
Oh, me, oh, my. That's a bad look right there, man. Again, you're playing with the cards stacked up against you. Your back's against the wall, and you got no punch. You got absolutely nothing when it comes down to the flow of this offense this year, and the help that you can provide for yourself. It's one thing if you can help yourself in certain situations. This one just wasn't that. And Houston, of course, just piled it on. The coaches did. The defense, the offense was good. The special teams was good. It wasn't anything that you can do. And again, I'll ask of, I guess, all of us is reevaluate Ryan Tannehill's career in the last 2 years just based off those 2 things. Of course, the picks is one thing. You can't continue to have that. I felt like last week that the first throw he had was into double coverage. But, heck, if I'm trying to get the ball out of my hand that fast, too, I might throw it into double coverage so I can get off the field, too. There is a lot. He said he knew there were plays that were stacked up against him, Will.
And I think he's at the point, too, where he's like, I'm not coming back here. Like, I don't think there's a good chance of him returning, even if it was obviously a backup situation. Like, I think he's pretty much thrown in the towel on the situation, too. And we'll see what happens moving forward with where he lands and what his future is. But I think he's pretty much like, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Like, I've been beaten up enough. And look, he hasn't been great when he has been healthy this season. I think he has, in terms of his play, has declined a little bit. I don't think he's the same guy we saw come in here and take over for Marcus Mariota. And granted, there was a lot going right for that team at the time. They were playing behind a really good offensive line. the play action was working extremely well because you could get the run game going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Derek was in his prime. And I still think Derek has stuff left in the tank. But, I mean, this offense is just stagnant as it can be. And when you go 1 for 12 on third down, 1 for 12? Like, you can't do anything in any situation to keep a drive going, right?
No, there's not much you can do right there, Kayla. It just ain't. That's a long day at the office. That third down, first and third down matter so much because first down makes third down easy.
Yeah.
You can get nothing going on first down. By the time you get to third and long, it's predictable. You know, and I say predictable not in the sense of attacking Tim Kelly here, but if it's 3rd and 7 or more, you got to pass or you're going to have to throw a screen game, especially if you aren't a offense that is predicated on throwing the ball anyway. Like if you're starting your first sets and, hey, we're getting the ball out of our hands, if you're not that type of team and you're a run-first squad, you know on 3rd and 7 you have to throw the ball. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to pin my ears back. And you got to think, they ended up getting 13 sacks in 2 games within 3 weeks.
13 sacks and 23 quarterback hits against the Texans in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
That's insane, guys.
And you got to see this team moving forward for the next however long.
And Derek Barnett, the local guy, VFL for Houston, was picked up off of a Philadelphia team that discarded him this year. No disrespect to Derek. Derek's a great football player. But it's Will Anderson, yes, but Will Anderson only played in one of those 2 games.
Yeah.
It was Derek Barnett for both of them, really.
And he got 2 sacks. Will Anderson got 2 sacks from an injury, from an ankle injury also.
Yeah.
Is this a pile on? Yeah, and it should be. There's no reason for anybody to have on gloves at this point when we're talking about the performance of this team. People here love this squad. There was a lot of Titans fans down there. I probably got pulled to the side in the stands probably more times than I ever have at a football game before. Ramon, and I'm just like, golly, there's a lot of Titans fans down here. You guys travel well. There should be an expectation of what your team performance should look like. And I get it. I understand that talent is low. But there's a lot of other teams that have these types of issues that seem to win games, too.
There are also just still a lot of Titans fans that live in Houston who stayed with the team and the franchise when they moved,
which is fun
helps.
to see.
615-737-1045, our number. Mark is in Nashville up next. What's up, Mark?
Not much. I appreciate you taking my call.
Yep.
So I kind of wanted to get Ramon's perspective on this. So I feel like, and maybe this is false hope, but I feel like if we can solidify the offensive line, we're going to get much better pretty quickly. So I'm not even sure who's restricted, unrestricted free agents this year, left tackle or guard-wise. But if you're a premium veteran in the league, do you really want to come to Tennessee and rebuild that offensive line and maybe, $20 million a year? Or do you go to Kansas City, Baltimore, somebody that's winning currently and take a deal at, $12, $14 million a year? So kind of want to see how you would go there since you played the position at a very high level.
For sure.
I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, Mark.
Mark, first thing first, money talks and bullcrap walks 1,000 miles, okay? It will come down to what you're willing to pay those types of guys. But here's the other thing, too, Mark, is if you're paying for those guys to come in, then you're going to have to pay a premium for those guys, too. As it stands right now, according to Spot Track, as far as unrestricted free agents this year, Tyron Smith, Jason Kelsey, I wouldn't sign those guys. Kelsey is a Eagle for life, and Tyron Smith has a bunch of injuries. Next dudes are up, Andrews Pete, Kevin Zeitler, Dwayne Brown, Connor Williams. Connor Williams may be a guy as a guard center combo that you can just point and say, yeah, we'll want that type of guy here. He's young enough that you can get some stuff out of him, man. But the important thing that you got to realize about offensive line development and re-solidifying yourself as a squad, you're better off going through the draft for this and hoping you hit, because if you go after free agents, that's really only like a 2 or 3 year max that you're going to get out of those guys. To whereas we're speaking about Peter Skoronski, right? Peter's a guy that we expect to have here for a decade. Mm-hmm. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for about 7 years out of your guys. And I can sprinkle in a free agent or two here or there if I'm already solidified and the culture's built. The culture is usually spread out because of your bigs and the quarterbacks. You got quarterbacks, D-line, and O-line. That's where it's reinforced because those are the biggest, most important groups inside the building. I love the idea that this group got a ton of money this year. But I'm not willing to pay $20 million for Trent Brown or Dwayne Brown either this offseason.
Right.
That's why, and you mentioned it so many times, and this is kind of going off what we said, like homegrown for an offensive line is probably the most important things, to do it through the draft. And yeah, you can't pick all offensive linemen in this year's draft, but I think it's becoming more of a clear picture who they probably need to select with the first-round pick. Probably try to get a left tackle, because if you want to start homegrowning that, I know that's not a word, but, have that homegrown line, you need to start with the left tackle position. And let's also remind everybody, like, they've got to have depth there. And that's not even something they've really had a lot of this year, because the guys that have come in, it's not been great.
Oh.
And there are two left tackles who are far and away the two top 10 pick, top 15 pick worthy players. Penn State tackle and Notre Dame tackle. But on the chance that both those guys are gone, then you talk about other options.
Yeah.
The question I have for both of you is the bridge tackle on this roster right now?
No.
Let's assume the Titans draft a tackle, because regardless of whether it's with the first-round pick or later, they're going to draft a tackle in a couple of months. Is the bridge to help that guy become ready to play that position currently on the team?
I'm saying no because of the results I've seen this year. NPF, of course, was behind the 8 ball because of suspension. But what I saw from him in Pittsburgh didn't give me a whole lot to trust and believe either. Danny, you got to live off the fact that next year he's still going to be guessing on how to be a pro. That's one thing about getting better. You got to be out there. And to be out there, you know how good or bad it is. Just as bad as Peter Skoronski's been at the last 4 games, you said, Will, at least he knows what it's going to take to be good moving forward. That's what being bad will allow you. Like, I ain't overly mad at Peter Skoronski's last few games because he can learn and grow from it. NPF next year, how confident are we that NPF can go a full 17 next year and look good?
Not at all.
Exactly.
I'd rather, honestly, at this point, see him at the right tackle spot.
He's going to have to be, I think.
Yeah.
And
just like we did that first year with him. I know he wasn't great.
I
know he wasn't great. Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
And that too. I don't think you give up on him yet, guys. I don't think he's had enough time on the field, and some of that is his fault with the suspensions. But I'm not giving up on him yet. But the left tackle spot, you don't have anybody to bring you in. There's no bridge there.
So to your point about putting him at guard, you know who else did that? And sometimes you got to be smart about your career. Screw what you think you are. I thought I was a tackle. I'm playing tackle. No, man, you're a guard. Andrus Peat is another guy that was drafted as a tackle that ended up being a Pro Bowler guard. He's a free agent this offseason.
Okay.
Well, and that's the point, too, is that if you're going to go out and draft and sign a tackle, it means one of the guys who is currently on the team is no longer on the team. It means that Jalen Duncan's probably not making the roster next year, because you can only really keep so many guys that are pigeonholed into playing the tackle position, right? Right now you have Nicholas Petit-Frere, Dylan Radins, Jalen Duncan, Andre Dillard, all expected to come back. Andre Dillard's not expected to come back, obviously, but all on contracts that would return them to the team next year. Andre Dillard will not be a Tennessee Titan next year. There's one thing we can confidently say, it's that. So if you're going to bring in a guy in the draft, then you've still got 4 tackles right there. And if you're going to sign someone to be the contingency plan, that's 5 tackles right there. So somebody's got to go. And the point is that if you draft and sign someone, then one of the guys that's currently playing right now is not on the roster.
Right. And we haven't even spoke about center guys, and that's a topic for another day. But that I know is going to get the people going too.
To me, that's an easier outlook. There's going to be a new center. 615-737-1045, our number. We'll talk some college football coming up. We'll get your phone calls on the Titans as well at 615-737-1045 as hour 2 rolls on RKW. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Is your heating system keeping up with the cold weather of winter? Well, available 24/7, 365. The professional Lee Company team is here to help. Their technicians will perform a 22-point inspection as well as seasonal cleaning and maintenance to keep your home running efficiently this winter. And even better, save $20 on your next heating tune-up visit today. That's $20 off on your home's next heating service from the folks at Lee Company. Remember this phone number, 615-567-1000. That's where you can contact Lee Company. And look, I love working with Lee Company because they've got nearly 80 years of experience. They've been trusted since 1944. They're open 24/7 and with 14 community locations here in Tennessee and Kentucky, Alabama, and 950 vehicles in their fleet. They are ready to help you at a moment's notice. So put Lee Company to work for you today. 615-567-1000. That's the number to call. Get $20 off on your home's next heating service. Online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company. All you need. Recapping a busy football weekend and the first weekend of 2024 right here on RKW. We are brewed by 8th and Roast. We take your phone calls, 615-737-1045. Austin Price of AllQuest will join us in an hour. And 3HL's Ron Slay, who you can also see quite a bit on the SEC network as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood
Looking good.
will join us.
Big time.
At 9:20 at hour number 4. We go back to the phones, though. Let's go to Blue in Nashville, talking Titans this morning. What's up, Blue?
Morning, Blue.
Hey, guys. So first, I have to apologize. When I got in the truck this morning, there were some voices on my radio that I haven't heard in a long time. So 104.5 is on my radio at all times. Well, I was driving around the other day, and I couldn't find the game, the playoff game yesterday on the radio, and so I had to go to another radio station, left it on, and when I got in my truck this morning, I thought I was on a different planet because there were new voices coming through the radio that I didn't recognize.
There are other radio stations?
Yeah, that's what I thought. So anyways, they were talking about, this is my first point, they were talking about people growing impatient with Vrabel in Nashville, and how, there was a growing concern about his ability to coach the Titans and he needs to be replaced. And I just wanted to say that replacing Vrabel just for the fact that you don't think he's getting it done is awful. If you look at what he's done in the past years with the massive amount of injuries, the offensive line that he has this year, he just doesn't have the pieces to the puzzle that I think he needs for us to judge his full spectrum of coaching in Nashville. So me personally, love Vrabel, would love for him to stay in Nashville and see what they can build with this new GM moving forward. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, though, and this is something you had just talked about, the draft. It sounds like we were focusing more on offensive linemen in the draft to build a rapport and to build a culture through drafting offensive linemen. My question is, do you think it makes more sense to go after skill players in those first few rounds, buy a few veteran offensive linemen with the cap space that we have? Because from what I understand, and I could be wrong, don't skill position players that could help us on the back end of the defense and at the wideout position, don't they cost a little bit more? I think we're also going to probably have to pay to replace Derrick Henry or get somebody in there if he's not around next year. So my question is, when you get into the draft, does that first couple rounds, how do you pass on a Brock Bowers even if you have a couple of those tackles available? I want to know your thoughts. Do you build your offensive line with your cap space, or do you really build through the draft and pass on that generational talent like Brock Bowers? And I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks, Blue. Appreciate the call.
I'll start with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think to go out, and Ramon touched on this in the last segment a little bit, but it's hard to go out and spend money on what is going to be just a temporary fix with a lot of these guys that have some miles, right? Some tread on the tires. And I think some of the offensive line will need to be fixed in free agency, but I think the biggest thing why I would probably take a left tackle if you are having one of those two or whatever drop to you at that point at 7, I think you take him because you do want the future of your line to be there. And that's been, what are we complaining about every week? What are people just having, nightmares about? It's this offensive line. And it's not going to get better overnight, but at least to try to better it for the future where you're going to have guys that you actually know the names of that are going to be there for a while playing together. I think you have to take a tackle if it's there. It is not sexy at all. And I understand the temptations of having a Brock Bowers or a skill position like a Malik Neighbors that falls to you. But my whole thing on that, guys, is what is it going to do them to come out and play for a team if you can't fix this offensive line, or if you even fix it for a year and then, you're seeing these guys because you sign them free agency, the treads on the tires is just, it's gone. So for me, I don't know if that would be even be beneficial to drafting a guy like a skill position player And I know that the Bengals have done it. I know that there's certain organizations that have done it. But I just think this offensive line situation is so bad for 2 years straight that you have to fix it, and you have to start by taking somebody in the draft.
That's a great point you made right there. A team that put the cart before the horse, Cincy. Right now they're faced with the fact that their quarterback is out. They did go get the Jamar Chase pick. T. Higgins is about to be up because they can't afford to pay both of them probably with the way their cap is set up. And right now they've netted nothing. That's a team right there that's fourth in the AFC North and is not going to make the playoff this year too. So you got to ask yourself, what's more important in those points right there? I think Brock Bowers is a luxury pick. I would say this. I'd much rather get a wide receiver than a tight end. Most tight ends give you what in a year? What's a great tight end record? I mean, got great tight end yards in a year.
1,000 yards.
1,000
is the absolute top.
How? That's the absolute top.
That's what Delaney Walker was here.
Yeah.
He was wide receiver 1 and tight end 1 all wrapped up in one.
But yeah, there we go. So it's got to be a special type of era that you're in and probably not a whole lot of talent when you go into a guy that often. Give me a tight end first. I love the idea that Brock Bowers, I think he's going to be there. I do. 6 or 7, he's going to
Probably
be there.
Is.
But if we're deciding between a tackle, tight end, and a wide receiver, depending on the wide receiver, I might take the wide receiver.
Depends on which one to me.
Yeah.
And it also depends on where the Titans are picking. I have a hard time making sweeping statements about needs and about priorities right now without knowing where they're picking, who's picking in front of them, and who's available in free agency.
And what moves.
Because if there is a generational talent in Marvin Harrison Jr. sitting there, I'm willing to make an exception to my needs in the first round because that guy is sitting there available. Because a wide receiver 1 is not often that can't miss, right? I think we agree that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the number 1 wide receiver in this draft class. If you have an opportunity to take that guy and to fix a position that has been a horror show for your organization for a lot of the time they've been in this city, you absolutely take it. But at the same time, if you're sitting at pick 7 or 8, and then both of the left tackles that you feel like have top 10 grades are gone at that point, then do you pivot to just the best available football player? There are so many questions that we don't have answers to yet that change the arithmetic on the way this is going to look for me. To where I'm just going to have to wait and see for another at least month. But even still then, without knowing who's available in free agency, who you could swap late-round picks for in trade, I mean, you could make the argument right now that trading back is the best thing for the Titans to do because they had to give up a lot to get Will Levis last year.
Right. They have no third-round pick right now.
It's what's going to be great business for us and keep you locked into this radio station throughout the offseason is the fact that this is the most interesting Titans offseason in the time they have been in this city because every option is on the table to surround your quarterback and his coaching staff with good players.
You said most important or most, entertaining probably, most important for the fact that I think they really need to get it right. Yeah. With the money they have, like Ramon's mentioned it so many times, you can have as much money as you want, but if you're not spending it wisely, like that doesn't mean anything.
We're back at this spot again.
We're back at we're back at the start again. And that's the thing with Rand and Vrabel. And I know a lot of people do not want to see Vrabel here next year. Like pending something crazy, he's going to be back next year. So moving forward with that, you have to make sure that Rand and him are getting the guys that they absolutely need to fix this team. And it could be a situation where if they get the right guys, it could be a little bit faster of a fix than we think. Yeah. And I'm not saying a Super Bowl winning team, but if you get the right guys in free agency and get your guy in terms of left tackle perhaps in the draft and maybe get a wide receiver in round 2. Oh, by the way, you need a cornerback. Maybe you fix things faster than we thought. If not, then the Vrabel questions, absolutely, they got to start being asked.
615-737-1045. Mike in Cleveland is up next. Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Mike.
Yo, what's up, y'all? Good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Yep.
Happy New Year. Yeah. Yo, so it's a lot. It's a lot I want to say. I'm gonna start. I ain't no expert, Far from an expert. But I could say a whole lot of I told you so. I could say that. But, yo, speaking of Vrabel, he definitely going into this next season with a shorter leash. I think this game, this Texas game, and I think this next game, players ain't showing no motivation. And it's because what was our leaders, they know that they out the door. I mean, I'm just speculating. It's what I think, But I think, Tannehill, Henry, they out the door. They're not part of what's happening. From everything that's going on within the game, it looks like Tim Kelly is a huge just black stain on game rhythm, game-to-game adjustments. We can give them however many excuses because of the offensive line, but I'm not seeing it from him. And I feel like pretty much him coming back with Vrabel is going to put Vrabel on a much hotter seat than what he would be in if he just cut Tim Kelly. I know it's been 1 year, but at this point, just cut the cord and let's get somebody in there. I don't think homeboy Tim Kelly is really that creative. We've seen a lot of parody from what other teams have did as far as trick plays. But the main part of our offense have been like running into a brick wall, and it ain't been our offensive line. So that's where I'm at with Tim Kelly, man. My question with the offensive line is kind of like what the last dude said. It seems like there is no core. The Titans have always had development problems, whether it's the offensive line or if it's wide receiver. For whatever reason, this franchise always has development problems. We get a wide receiver in the first round. It seems like out of 5 years, 3 out of those 5 years, we taking a wide receiver. He don't pan out. He don't develop. Go to a different team, and he looks better. So with offensive line, yes, I think bringing in a veteran offensive lineman, even if it is for 2 years, to get these young boys that obviously have not been developed and have no core already, get a veteran in here to give them a core, give them some type of cojones, give them something to build off of, because right now they got nothing. And with no leadership coming back next year, going into the offseason unmotivated, the only motivation being is Levis could be good. Bring in a veteran offensive lineman to give them an identity, give them a foundation, give them a core, even if it's just on the coaching staff. Because our offensive lineman coach has only been the coach for 1 year. That's it. So bring in something to give them some type of cojones, something. Because right now, the motivation factor is at zero, even for Vrabel being here. That leash is super short, and that seat is burning. So that's it. That's all I got.
There we go. I thought that was a tugboat for a
Thank
second.
you, Mike.
Wouldn't you want that maybe to be a center, Ramon?
A
if
center,
he's talking about
I'll-
leadership and continuity and stability.
The center to me is definitely the anchoring position of the offensive line. It just is. You look across the league, that's the way it kind of sits to me as far as knowing how to set guys up, knowing just as much as the quarterback, and just up the middle. That's your anchor. The pocket crashes up the middle if you're not strong up the middle. It means a lot. You're the second quarterback. The left tackle is the most premier position, but definitely center is a point of emphasis. I don't know what Brewer's going to be here.
He's not going to be here. I'll tell you right now, Aaron Brewer is not going to be the center of the Tennessee Titans in 2024.
I needed you to say it. That's all.
And I'd rather draft one that's going to be here for a decade.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a young center who you can draft on day 3 who could honestly come in and start right away.
Yeah.
Because that is a position you can draft and pay a guy very little to do a lot for you.
Is it easier to find a center or a left tackle in free agency?
It's y'all. It's
Neither.
just so.
I know. It's like I feel like people think it's such an easy thing to do. I just don't think it is.
None of this is easy. It is not. None of this is not at you, but like these.
Well, no, I'm just saying what people are thinking.
I know, like these answers that we're looking for. it's like investing in Amazon when it first dropped. This dude was in his garage. Who was think Amazon was going to turn into this? You know, it was like investing in like it's almost frustrating. You don't know the answers. You know what it's supposed to look like. Like, I'm sure Bezos knew it was supposed to be something. But he went from books to selling merchandise now.
And
you know what I'm saying? And actually, yeah, making us more consumers of his Prime Video. It's just going to take a little while, y'all. That's all I could tell you. Like, to give you the answers on the O-line, I think there are bigger issues at corner. No, just as big issues at corner. Wide receiver still. Speed overall. Decision, linebacker. Like, how satisfied are you with the Z's? How satisfied? Like, if there's a rusher there, what's Alabama's rusher say, yeah, I'm out of here?
Dallas Turner.
If Dallas Turner is there.
Declared for the draft yesterday.
If he's still there.
If anything, Aziz needs help. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know if Aziz is even going to be there.
Right. You don't.
It's y'all, this is a lot. And you should be frustrated.
While we're all divided, I think we can agree on one thing. Between center, left tackle, guard is definitely the least valuable. I think Ramon could agree with all of that.
Man. Hey,
anyway, we got to go to a break. No time to
The
dispute
only thing
that.
for me is that whatever tackle you add, their last name does not need to begin with D. Between Dennis Daly, Andre Dillard, and Jalen Duncan.
Stay away.
That's so true.
Joe Alt is indeed.
Or Dylan Radins.
Oh. So can we just say if this year, if there is an offensive line, I'm going to be hot at all y'all if y'all ain't jumping up on the table celebrating if you get Joe Alt.
Absolutely.
Because last year, Peter
said I'm down.
Skoronsky, Peter was just like, oh, we got a tackle. Oh, no, we ain't celebrating this year.
I got a guard,
I'm
not
in
a
for
tackle.
it.
I think last year everybody was kind of upset because the carrot of C.J. Stroud was dangled in front of their face a couple days before the draft, where it's like, you guys are cooking something up, and then they opened the pot and it smelled like crap. You know what I mean? They could smell what The Rock was cooking, and it wasn't good.
That's another diss at O-line, Bert.
Yep. Nobody was happy with Will Levis, and all those people are happy now, including us.
We're okay with
make it better, Bert.
615-737-1045. More of your phone calls. Talk a little bit of college football coming up, where there has been a positive trend over the last two college football playoffs. That's next.
When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of the time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. We're afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed right away, or it could be a small problem now that'll become bigger later, or it could be nothing at all. Bottom line is we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. What we need is a peace of mind. The United Structural Systems is the company to give you that. They have over 25,000, 100% satisfied residential customers. And here's how they make that happen. When USS comes out to your house, you're going to get a problem solver who provides a peace of mind to their customers. That's the homeowners. You're not going to get someone who's worried about meeting a sales quota, upselling the next big thing, but someone there to educate you and help you understand what is happening with your home. At USS, their only measure of success is how satisfied the homeowner is and not a closing ratio. Homeowners trust USS, keeping homes dry and stable for over 25 years. USS, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. You can reach them online at USSTN.com or call them 615-488-7855.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast on 104.5 The Zone as we get ready for the second half of the show. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll talk some Tennessee and Iowa with Austin Price of AllQuest coming up at 8:20. Streaming live as well at 104.5 The Zone TV, the 104.5 The Zone app. Guys, News Channel 5 Steve Lehman put this on Twitter yesterday. I thought it was a good way to sum up the playoff football we have watched for the last 2 years in college football. There were 3 single-digit semifinal games in the first 8 years of the college football playoff. Now, over the last 2 years, decided by 6 points, decided by 1 point. Yesterday's games decided by 7 in overtime and 6, and it came down to the final play. We have finally found some sort of parity in the top 4 of college football.
Love that. I do. We had to go through this to get to that point, but absolutely loved it. And, of course, from conference to conference, too. The competition between the Big Ten and the SEC and just watching the Pac-12 now be represented in this final year and watching Texas leave and all those types of things. Like, as good of entertainment that you can ask for yesterday, all the games to me, of course, with the Vols. Couldn't be my team getting shut out like that.
Could you imagine losing in 2024?
And having
What's that like?
Having a Cheez-It pop out of a box, too? Couldn't be me 2 times in Florida, baby. We doing that thing. But good bowl season, I thought. Unpredictable with who was going to play. It was some favorites that you just looked and was like, okay, yeah, they should win. And they didn't win. I absolutely love bowl season. I don't know if there was much of a snoozer anywhere, especially the last 3 days that we've seen bowls on TV. Love it.
I think some of these early bowl games, they still have to find incentives for these players to play.
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah.
Now, that won't matter for the playoffs moving forward because I would think most guys are going to want to give their team a chance to win a national championship. And we'll see that new format moving forward. And how close those games are going to be, that's yet to be seen. But I think the top bowl games have been really fun, and I couldn't have asked for anything more than yesterday's semifinals. I mean, you're talking about down to the wire, literally last-minute plays on each side, kind of 2 different type of ball games, right? We saw a lot of scoring in one and one not so much, but both really good games with some of the best storylines and coaches that there are right now in college football. Yeah. I thought it was spectacular, guys, and I don't feel like we've said that in a long time because look at the semifinals last year, especially the championship game last year, right? That was just not something I think we were excited to see. I think this year we're going to get a good championship game with 2 really good teams.
And real quick, I love the SEC. Y'all know it. Well, I love it. Okay.
Can't relate.
I love it, okay? Just on the branding, okay? Just on branding.
Yeah.
But can we say, can we give a huge thank you to Big Blue? Can we?
And Washington.
And Washington.
2 SEC teams.
Pac-12?
Not in there.
Legitimately, like seeing Bama fold like that, okay, to the core. Again, I love when the bandwagon gets a little lighter.
14 SEC fan bases are very happy this morning of the 16.
Woo!
It's so weird because when we would root for like Pac-12 teams, because I hate Washington.
Yeah.
I do. And I don't like them moving forward because they're no longer in the Pac-12. There is no Pac-12. But we always would root for like Pac-12 teams to get there.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because you guys have teams that get there a lot, so it's not as much of a thing. Or maybe because it's just Alabama.
Well, it just means more.
I feel like I'm at the Catalina wine mixer right now.
Honestly, at this point, guys, Brian Rice tweeted this yesterday, and it's the perfect way to describe it. Perfect way to describe it.
What'd he say?
Cheering for other teams in your conference is like cheering for Satan just because he's also in the Bible. That's it.
Goodness.
If you love your team, you want everyone who your team plays every year to fail at every possible moment. Point blank.
Until your conference completely blows up and then you wish your conference could have been better and represented better.
Even then.
For years before that.
Pow!
Again.
It's
a different situation, y'all.
It is. I
It's
know.
a different situation.
I don't think it is. I think
It is.
regardless of what conference you cheer for, you cheer for your team and not your conference. And it warmed my cold heart yesterday.
If you
Seeing
continuously
Michigan and Washington win.
did not have an SEC team though to represent year after year after year, that would not look good.
It would be great because it'd be easier for Tennessee to recruit because they wouldn't be going up against teams that had just won the national championship.
That's true. Well, and I got to give credit to Kirby. Kirby had a great presser, too, after the game, saying what happened to Florida State and all that type of stuff. But I couldn't imagine being 0-1 in 2024 right now. Pow! I'm done. That's just my Bama hate coming out, okay?
Oh,
Y'all know how I feel about that,
Well,
man.
maybe Saban will retire for you.
And yeah, I know they beat us, okay, but guess what? Don't matter. Does not matter. Bro.
So Michigan trailed for 18 minutes and 14 seconds against Alabama.
Yeah.
Entering that game, they had trailed for 23 minutes all year.
Good for them. And they weren't signal stealing or anything this past week.
God.
Connor Stallions was
give
there.
Me a damn break.
Did you see the picture?
Right.
No, Connor Stallions was at the game. I'm serious.
God.
I'm not even trolling.
He was dressed at Harbaugh.
If you
what?
look up Connor Stallions on X, he was literally in the front row.
You know what?
There's a picture of him.
You got to give Harbaugh and Michigan praise though too, because he leaned in, even in the sit down meeting.
Lean
Like
in.
he was like, "So what? What you gonna do about it? I'm gonna go out here and compete to try to win this natty, and what y'all gonna do? But watch us do it."
Michigan deserves a ton of
gritty
credit
team.
for the way they came back,
Yeah.
for the way they controlled the line of scrimmage, and the way they exploited Alabama's biggest weakness, which was their pass protection.
Facts.
That was their biggest weakness all year. And honestly, Alabama probably wins that game if they can just snap the football. But they couldn't. And so Michigan's defense took advantage of that weakness, took Jalen Milroe's legs out of the game late. And that play call from Tommy Rees wasn't as bad as it looked the first time when you saw again that the snap was a ground ball to short
Every
that Jalen
second
Milroe
matters.
had to pick up.
It was.
Have you ever seen that?
What's that?
Poor of snapping in a football game?
Yeah, I have.
That was pathetic.
You want to know where I saw it?
Pathetic. What, with the Titans?
Yeah, there you go.
I thought he was going to say on tape when they had him practicing. So.
That is the third shot that Bert take. We going to the
He's
balcony.
ready to go.
Are you willing to hold Bert's
Steelers
legs
hate
while I dangle him off?
You're the
I
only
got the
person.
bucket.
You're the only person that I trust to hold my legs, Ramon. I'm a big
don't you-
fella.
don't you-
Don't nobody need to be holding. I'm too damn big for somebody to hold my leg.
Take shots at him, not me.
Oh, my.
615-737-1045. We'll reset the headlines coming up. Austin Price of Allquest at 8:20. Much more in the college football world to discuss coming up next.
What's going on? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Looks like the Vols got one as they took down Iowa 35-0. Nico Iamaleava finished with 151 yards and a touchdown. Passing also finished with 3 more touchdowns on the ground to win the Citrus Bowl for the Vols. In the Rose Bowl, Michigan survives and advances against Alabama in overtime, 27-20. Jalen Milrose stopped on the 3-yard line in overtime to end the game. But for Michigan, Blake Corum scored from 17 yards out to give them the lead in overtime. In the Sugar Bowl, Washington left no doubt against Texas, 37-31. Michael Penix finished with 461 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Washington's running back Dylan Johnson added another 2 on the ground, but suffered a leg injury and had to be carted off the field. So your national championship, 2 undefeated teams, Michigan and Washington, will face off next Monday at 6:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 3 of your Tuesday morning starts right now, and it's hour number 3 of 2024 on RKW. We are brewed by 8th and Roast and hope you had a wonderful New Year's weekend, enjoying all of the football that there was to be enjoyed. Austin Price of AllQuest.com will join us in 20 minutes. Takeaways from Tennessee's win in dominant fashion over the Iowa Hawkeyes and how it resets expectations for 2024 with Nico Iamaleava at quarterback. I hope you had a better New Year's than the Citrus Bowl public address announcer who used at least 20 different pronunciations of Iamaleava yesterday in Orlando. That was interesting to listen to.
Very.
Remote Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Robert Walsh beginning your morning with you.
You knew that someone was going to get it wrong, if not a couple people. And props to even Brock Osweiler doing play-by-play, he didn't get it right every time.
Dave Fleming, the play-by-play guy, and Brock Osweiler, they do a good job.
Yeah, and Brock even kind of flubbed it a couple times.
He did. It was funny trying to, you can tell he was trying to add the A into it. Nico Iamaleava, and he was just Iamaleava. I was just like, oh my gosh. Well,
don't overthink it.
You get good enough.
It's just Nico.
Yeah, just exactly. I go with first names all the time. If you got a last name that's out here, I'm a butcher, and I know I'm gonna butcher it up. Oh my gosh. Now let me switch this up.
Nico works.
Nico works. It does. Or you just call him Chef Nico, whatever you want to call him at this point.
Well, he cooked yesterday.
I said I wasn't gonna do that though. I sent out a tweet yesterday trying to tell Vols fans.
What?
Hey, be cool, y'all. Be cool, and good or bad, let's just watch him be a freshman. And I went berserk in my vehicle.
12 of 19 for 179 and a touchdown. Had 3 rushing touchdowns in this game. Going up against an Iowa defense that finished the season ranked 5th nationally, surrendering 274 yards per game. An Iowa defense that was number 1 in yards per play.
And not many opt-outs.
No.
And mostly will play senior or junior or seniors on their defense, too. The outside rusher, though, is nice. We did have a problem at right tackle, though.
And he took 6 sacks, Nico Iamaleava, in this one. What did you like the most about his game?
Man, don't get me started. Okay,
I'm actively trying to get you started.
So what I loved about his game was a smooth. The first play, I think first pass that he had, he was on the left hash and threw all the way to the right sideline. Seeing the accuracy of that, seeing the decision-making on his passing, I thought was real good. Seeing the idea of him being able to throw across the middle. It looked like he was demanding stuff out of the wide receivers early. He spread the ball out. I feel like sometimes with Joe, he would only go to one person, only. And I saw him go to Ramil. I saw him go to Nimrod. I saw him to go to Squirrel. I saw him to go to Jacob Warren. Golly, I'm mixing my players up. But I saw him go to everybody. McAllen Castles having a touchdown in the game. There was flow to it. And then the decision to tuck and run safely. Those were the things that I was excited about in watching him. And insanely good watching that be decisive. And for a guy that played in this Cheez-It New Year's Day Bowl in his first career start on the road, I think it's a lot to build off of. If he had just a terrible day too, I think that's something you can build off of and what you know what you're supposed to be doing and not doing. And Heupel said it after the game too. You don't want him taking those sacks when he don't have to. I thought he had a very freshman mistake in the 2 minutes, towards the end of the half, where he took a sack. I'm like, you're not supposed to take that. Throw the ball away. I think he does have that. I want to make every play I can mindset, and some chunk it away. Chunk it away or check down to somebody that you can a little bit earlier. But he did good. I see what Zach said. He did good with the O-line that was in front of him. Mm-hmm. He operated.
Yeah, I thought, first of all, how exciting for Vols fans to see a little bit of a preview of your future quarterback. Yeah. And I think it's even exciting just for college football in general to have a guy like this that could be, a guy you tune into on a Saturday, even if it's not your team, to watch him play as a freshman. Mm-hmm. And the calm collectiveness that he has. And I'm not surprised by it, but in a moment like that where you're getting your first start, and I know he wasn't perfect, but I think overall, he's a pretty cool, calm, collective type of passenger. And look, I mean, his guys trust him for the most part. And these are guys he hasn't played a lot of ball with.
Not like that.
And I think just he had the 4 touchdowns, the 1 passing, the 3 rushing. I think that was encouraging to see, too, in red zone situations when you're down there and you can utilize his legs like that. He was just really fun to watch. And if that's what we get for the next couple of years.
3.
3 years, let's go. That's exciting.
What my biggest issue yesterday, oh, my God. Nico dropped a dime to Ramel Keaton.
Stopped on the route.
What the heck happened there?
I think he's probably used to Joe putting more air to where he can run under. I think that's what Nico ball sails, I think, with like a torpedo.
Yeah, there's not as much loft.
It's not enough air because he's got touch.
Right.
Joe had to add air to his to drop it into the basket. And I think that's an adjustment thing. But Ramel yesterday was hot and then he was cold. He was pissing me off.
The catch on the sideline at the end of the first half was as good of a throw and catch that a Tennessee quarterback and wide receiver had this year. I thought he got lost it in the sun on the play. Well, I was sitting in that end zone, and the sun was right over where he was trying to catch it, is what I thought happened when he stopped on the route. Yeah. To me, the thing I liked the most about Nico Iamaleava is he reminded me of Hendon Hooker in the way that when the play broke down, he was consistently moving the chains. That was the biggest difference for me, guys, between Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton. Joe Milton had some of the same inaccuracy issues that Hendon Hooker had at times last season when he was high on throws over the middle, sail things just a little bit. Hendon Hooker obviously had more strengths than weaknesses, and Joe Milton had very specific weaknesses. Throws over the middle, intermediate passing game, and creating plays off schedule in the run game. But that, to me, is the biggest one that Tennessee did not have this year. How many times did we watch Hendon Hooker escape the pocket and either make a throw on the run off schedule or run it, break 2 or 3 tackles, and get 20 yards to move the chains for a first down? When Tennessee was at its best, Joe Milton was doing that. You think of Dante Thornton's, 35-yard catch against Kentucky. Off schedule, Joe Milton scrambling left, throwing across his body right over the middle for a first down. We didn't see a lot of that. We saw Nico Iamaleava do that as much yesterday as we saw Joe Milton make plays in the run game on a designed pass all season. And that, to me, is what excites me about his maturation and his mental clock. If we want to break down the specifics of where he looks like he's not a freshman, he did not look like a freshman out there in very many moments.
No, he did not. And speaking of freshmen, too, I thought what you got out of Cam Seldon was legit. The analysts kept trying to talk about what's his name, man? Ricky Gibson. Like, he's a freshman out there. You got to go at him. And they never really did. And I was like, well, I don't know if this is because Ricky Gibson had a day or because they just didn't have a good throwing threat. But I thought he paired with this guy well. The one time they did go at him, their quarterback, what is his friggin' name?
Deacon Hill.
Deacon Hill, he fluttered the ball out, if that's the word. Just helicoptered the ball out so much you couldn't even really attack him in those moments. So, all in all, the guys you need to show some stuff, they did. Solid day for the number 5 ranked defense. And, of course, people are going to downplay that because, it was the bowl game.
No, they had, like you said, they had most of their players playing.
You know what I got to say about that?
Except for that safety.
Pow!
Exactly.
Yeah!
There it is. If you're not awake, you are awake now.
Hey, should be back to work anyway, man. Don't be messing up my flow of traffic either, you people.
Ride safe.
Me and Kayla been rolling in here, and traffic has been smooth, ain't it?
Nothing on the roads.
Talking about smooth as apples, huh, Kayla?
Mm-hmm.
And now y'all want to come congest this traffic. Nah, don't do that. Bert, you was about to say something. What you got for me?
Nothing. I've got 2 observations. One, I think Will is the smoothest sayer of Nico's last name. Will, if you could say his last name 3 times as fast as possible.
Iamaleava, Iamaleava, Iamaleava.
Love it. My other observation is Vols are very level-headed about Nico and his future. I asked Lucas, I said, hey, big game, what'd you think about Nico? He said, he's going to win the Heisman. So I'm glad everyone is keeping their expectations down and being really level-headed about this.
Did Nico already have his Heisman moment for 2024? 615-737-1045.
Was it the cat that does an SEC mic? How many Heismans will Nico win? 2, 3, or 4?
Over under 3.5. 615-737-1045. Listen, if you want to learn less about football and if you want to be dumber, just go to my Twitter mentions yesterday or my X mentions, whatever we're calling them. So I sent out this tweet or X post or whatever we're calling it that next season Tennessee should aim to be in the college football playoff. And you would think that I had said Tennessee's about to win 5 straight national championships by the responses that I got. Yeah. And the response to me that was most irksome were people coming at me saying, oh, well, same old Tennessee. It's always next year, isn't it? Huh. But the last 2 years, Tennessee in November would have been in contention for a 12-team playoff. And 2 years ago, they would have made it.
Yeah.
You can't do it's always next year conversation when the last 2 years, Tennessee has met the criteria that I am describing again for 2024. It is not far-fetched at all to say a team that no longer has an SEC East to try to win is going to try to make the playoff. That is the only tangible goal for Tennessee football in 2024 is to try to make the college football playoff. That is it. Because there's not an SEC East anymore. It's not like you're going into the season saying, win the East and then see what happens. There is no East. So what else are you going to aim for?
Also, how dumb of an argument. I guess it's all next year. Yeah, it's all next year for literally everyone but one team. Literally everyone is looking to next year except for whoever the hell is going to win the national championship. Whether it's Washington or Michigan, it's literally next year for everyone. Mm-hmm. That is such a dumb argument. Oh, you're always looking at next year. I hate when people do that. Yes, everyone is, in fact. You moron.
People on social media act like Tennessee is picked to win the SEC East every year. Like, who is setting these expectations?
Meanwhile, their favorite teams don't even play each other each year. Bama and Georgia don't play each other each year. That's the argument right there.
Next year.
I know, but that's the thing. Never mind.
Who are these people? Are they like Bama fans? Or are they just like no name fans?
Mainly Bama fans that were sending me these tweets.
Okay.
Bert, you know what we got for those people, man?
Is it a POW?
Pow! I thought she was going to play right.
I did too. I was waiting for that too.
That's my fault. We've been spending so much time together. We're finishing each other's
meatballs.
Sandwiches.
Meatballs.
Yeah.
All right, that's my last pal for the people that's in radio on the cars right now.
Coming up next,
again.
Austin Price of FallQuest.com. What impressed Austin the most about Tennessee's win over Iowa, and what are expectations now for Tennessee in 2024 with Nico Iamaleava?
I'm hyped.
Iamaleava.
I said it this morning. You handed that award out without having me say it.
Too.
No, I'm awesome at it.
I say it well.
Awesome.
I say it well.
I am great at it, Bert.
Let's hear you do it.
Iamaleava.
For the first time in 2024, the glass breaks and we talk Vols with stone cold Austin Price of All Quested on 3 right here on RKW. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you at Austin Priceless, where you can find him on Twitter. Austin, Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Just watching Brent Hubbs. I mean, he looks like James Pierce on that pick six the way he's driving up through Atlanta right now.
Is he holding the steering wheel with one hand the way James Pierce is holding the football with one hand as well, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, he's got his hands at 8 and 4 instead of 10 and 2. I mean, that's a little bit worrisome, but I mean, he's weaving in and out of traffic. I mean, it looks like Bo and Luke Duke trying to win the Richmond 500 on the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh my God! Like, hey, tell him unless he's got a 40 in a brown paper bag, he don't need to be driving like that, man. He don't need to be driving.
Unless you have a 40 in a brown paper bag, you don't need to be driving like that. Who says he doesn't?
Hey, I'm just glad y'all can make it through Atlanta traffic. That's all, man.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Goodness. Yeah. Crazy. Austin, what did you like the most about yesterday's win for Tennessee?
The Tennessee did what they were supposed to do. Defensively, they didn't allow a point. A timely interception by, Andre Turrentine, James Pierce, obviously with a strip sack, and then a pick six. Offensively, they were able to run the football 232 yards. Nico was efficient in the passing game. And, they just did what they were supposed to, 35-0. Really nice performance as Coach Heupel's been saying all bowl season, to kick off the 2024 campaign.
And Austin, I really like specifically just the way Nico was able to off script make something happen. And even on his, I believe it was the last rushing touchdown, that's a designed play action pass where he decides, I'm going to tuck this and run and finds the end zone. Do you see Tennessee using his legs in a different way next season and more of a way they kind of used Hendon Hooker's athleticism a year ago?
Yeah, I think it'll be similar. He's crafty. I think, the play you referenced, once Jacob kind of wasn't there and he decided to tuck and run, he accelerated. I think you'll see more Patrick Mahomes from him going forward from a standpoint of, like, he'll accelerate and then still make the pass. And, I think that he's going to be really tough to defend, with his ability to ad-lib and go off script when things break down. And that's the one thing that, Joe probably did struggle with, was his ability to, kind of freelance when the pressure got there and be able to ad-lib a play. I think Nico does a really good job of that. And the biggest thing is Nico keeps his eyes down the field. He's really good at, not just, once he goes to run, just putting his head down and running. Like, he keeps his eyes up the field when he starts running, and if something, breaks open, I think you'll see him make a play with his arm still, as long as he's behind the line of scrimmage.
Was there anything that we didn't see talent-wise from Nico yesterday? Because, again, to open up the game on the left hash and throw to the right sideline is one of the hardest throws for any quarterback. So I think that takes the lid off of a lot of what we expect from him as far as arm strength. Was there something that he has that we didn't see yesterday?
Yeah, I think the ability to hit the deep ball, and I think that's not on him, right? Like, that's the one thing you really didn't see yesterday. He I thought, had a great throw to Ramel Keaton, and had Ramel Keaton ran through the route, he probably scores. Instead, he slowed up, and the ball ended up landing about 4 or 5 yards past him. That's probably the only thing. But again, I think that will get better with time. I think Tennessee's receiving core should be a deeper, more experienced, more talented group in 2024. And you look at the additions of Chris Brazel, and we're still waiting on Brew McCoy to make a decision. But again, things continue to trend well there. And then the addition of Braylon Staley and Mike Matthews. I think Tennessee's receiver core is going to be more athletic next season, which I think helps Nico because they're able to get more separation, which means he doesn't have to be as perfect next year with the football.
The development of your bigs is always huge when you're trying to build a program like Tennessee is. We saw a guy yesterday, I think, probably had one of the best breakout games. And if we can just look forward to next year, Tyree West, 4 total tackles, a sack and a half, man, and was just violent. I don't think we've seen much for him in his first couple of years at Tennessee. Was that his breakout party yesterday?
Well, he claimed it was. He said it was his coming out party yesterday in the media scrum afterwards. And, he needed to step up. With Tyler Barron, off to Ole Miss, like this was a chance for Tyree West to step into that role and shine. He did that. Jason Jenkins got 13 snaps yesterday as a bigger, edge defensive end top player. And this is a young man who, was highly thought of coming out of the recruiting process and, has slowly come on and done a really nice job. And, I think to get some momentum for him confidence-wise heading into 2024 was big yesterday for Tyree West.
Austin Price joining us this morning of VolQuest here on RKW. And Austin, do we call them the double S's? Obviously, we talked a lot about Dylan Sampson coming into this game and him being the guy, and you had some help from Cameron Seldon as well. What did you like about this combo averaging, 5.8 yards per carry in this game?
Well, the old S&S cafeteria. That's what we're going to call them.
Yes.
Always open.
At the cafeteria, you always eat.
I like that.
Sampson and Seldon did a really good job yesterday. And, for someone who hasn't played a whole lot, I thought Cam Seldon looked fantastic. I mean, and Jerry Mack's done a really good job. He had, 3 really capable running backs all year long. And so to even have Seldon in a position as the number 4 to step in and do what he did yesterday was really, really impressive. I think he's only going to get better as he learns to run a little bit lower with his pads. And then when you add in like Dylan Sampson, Eric Kane said this yesterday on our podcast, like Dylan Sampson had one of the quietest 130-yard games you'll ever see. Just really solid, and continues to get better. I mean, it can and will continue to get even more better headed into 2024. But just I think that room is super solid, and I think Jerry Mack has done one of the best jobs of any coach on the offensive side for sure, but maybe even the whole team.
Austin, I know Deacon Hill was not great. 7 of 18, 56 yards passing, 2 INTs. How much could you see out of the secondary, this new look secondary of Tennessee in this game? I know Deacon Hill is maybe not the greatest example of a quarterback to go up against, but what could you tell from their talent?
Well, I think you couldn't tell a whole lot. What I saw was a group that did what they were supposed to do. Ricky Gibson was really solid yesterday. Gabe Giulali in his final game played well. I continue to think Jordan Thomas, the more experience he gets, the better he plays. And so if they can keep him on the field, he's a young man that will be a key part of that secondary next year. And then, I still want to see Tennessee, sub more in these games. I said this on our podcast yesterday. I don't think they do a good enough job of when the game is out of hand, get Jalen McCullough and Gabe Giulali out there when you're up 28-0 in the fourth quarter. To me, those guys should have been out of the game at that point. This should have been a lot more run for Christian Conyer, for Jordan Matthews, for John Slaughter. Instead, Conyer didn't play. Matthews played 4 snaps, and John Slaughter played 4 snaps. You have to be better because you got to continue to build depth. That's the one thing that Ryan Jean-Marie, Jerry Mack, Rodney Garner all do really, really well is they get those young guys in. And when you've played 9 snaps in one game, 8 snaps the next, 12 snaps the next, by the end of the year, you've played a substantial amount more than the others. You're better for it. And I think that's something that the back end of the defensive staff has to do a better job in 2024.
Austin Price of VolQuest with us. Austin, with Tennessee looking this confident at quarterback and improving under Nico Iamaleava yesterday, it's interesting what the expectations are going to be for 2024. And for a while, we've said, win the SEC East and go from there, right? Well, there's no more SEC East. And as you look at this team and this roster moving forward next season, Austin, what is, you feel like, the expectation within that building of how good they feel like they can be next year?
Well, I think the expectation is to be in the college football playoff next year, and I think that should be the expectation. This is a team that's got a lot of the offensive line coming back. You like your running backs. I think, it's not yet proven in the offense, but I think you feel really good about the receivers with Chris Brazel and some of the young guys coming in, potentially Brew coming back. I think they like the tight ends. Again, Holden Staes is going to have to learn to play with tempo. I mean, at Notre Dame, they played, 1 snap every 5 minutes, and here it's going to be 1 snap every 4 seconds. So it's going to be a little different for him, but that's why he's got spring practice to improve. And then defensively, you have a lot of key playmakers back across the board, led by James Pierce, who is, one of the nastiest defensive, playmakers in college football. So, I think this is a team that, can they get to Atlanta? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there are probably a few other teams that have a little easier path as far as schedule than Tennessee does. But with number 8 at quarterback, if he plays within himself and continues to do what Nico seems to do, which is just kind of be there in the moment and deliver, anything is possible.
Austin, much has been made about Evan Stewart's connections to Tennessee, the former Texas A&M wide receiver in the transfer portal. You mentioned Brew McCoy and his status still up in the air, returning to this roster next season. What's the latest on Tennessee's pursuit of an outside wide receiver, and when do you think we could get news on Brew McCoy's potential return?
I think, the Evan Stewart train, I think that one's probably not going to leave the station. I think Tennessee, kicked the tires a little bit there, and I just don't see that, doing any more than that. As for Brew McCoy, I think Brew will announce something, in the not so distant future, and I think the rubber will meet the road for him, fairly quickly here.
When it boils down to the new additions coming in this 2023 class, or is it 24 right now? 2024 class at practice. Anybody impressive? I saw Boo Carter's name go across. I feel like anytime there's anything Vols related, you're gonna hear Boo Carter's name with this freshman class.
Yeah, Boo Carter. He certainly brings the juice and carries himself in a way that just he has a swagger, and he, Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews, all kind of early enrollees that turned some heads in bowl practice. Now I'll caution you, like a year ago, John Slaughter was somebody who turned heads in bowl practice and then didn't play a whole lot this year. So we'll see. But I mean, at the same time, I think it's if you're a young guy, that's what you want to do. You want to make a few plays, make your presence known early, and then get to spring practice and see what happens when the real pads go on. You spent most of those players spent most of their time in bowl practice running scout team. That will not be the case when we get to March and spring practice starts. It'll be go time for all those guys.
When you also look at the end of the bowl season for the Vols, I think you guys have also been mentioning the transfer portal is still open till Friday. What has to happen as far as Coach Heupel keeping the staff, or do you expect maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 guys entering into the portal?
Well, yeah, they have 5 days, or basically till Friday, to enter the portal, or any team that played yesterday. For Michigan and TCU, their window won't start till after next Monday's national championship game. I think you have to be cognizant that there could be 1 or 2 of these guys that have transferred before. They could potentially transfer again, and that goes back to that new rule that's in place. For this window is, if you transferred once, you can transfer again. Which again, I've said with you all for the last 3 or 4 weeks, that's a bad move for college football. It's not healthy for the sport, and it just opens up a whole can of worms for. I just think the game gets lessened. I think you lose coaches, potentially to the NFL going this route. I think you have to think about the overall health of the sport. But, anybody that's moving forward. So you look at Gerald Mincy, that's one that, could potentially, look around. You look at Dante Thornton, Andre Keurig, all those players that have transferred before are eligible to potentially look around. Whereas 3 weeks ago, they were locked in. They couldn't look around again unless they graduated, and none of them had. So I think when you look at the next 3 or 4 days, those will be pivotal if you're trying to hold on to any of these players.
Austin Price joining us on RKW. Austin, this might be a long shot question here, but I am curious, when you have a performance by a young quarterback like Nico Iamaleava, what does that maybe do for some of these guys who are still making decisions because you're able to see that on full display in a bowl game and you're seeing what the future might be?
Well, I think, it definitely energizes his teammates. It energizes, the newcomers. It energizes the recruits that are committed to Tennessee or looking at Tennessee to know you've got somebody for the next couple of years that, is going to be, holding down that really important position on the football team. And it's a quarterback-driven game. And, I think that anytime you have somebody, like Nico, definitely gives Tennessee a little bit of juice out there, whether it be into holding on to their own players or, in the recruiting world, whether it be transfers or the high school ranks.
Austin, Dominic McKinley turning heads at Under Armour All-American practice over the weekend. I know VolQuest's Matt Ray was there to talk with him and cover all of those things right down the road in the Sunshine State. What's the latest on his recruitment with Tennessee?
Well, he committed to LSU on at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve / New Year's Day, and we'll see if he takes a visit. It was set to come here on January 20th. I could still see him taking that visit, but I think just kind of grown tiresome of the process, and I think he got around all those players at the Under Armour game and looked around and goes, man, all these guys already signed? I'm like the only person that isn't signed, and I think that was kind of like a little bit of an eye-opener for him, and LSU is just down the road. I mean, it's not shocking that a kid from an hour outside of Baton Rouge is going to go to LSU, right, especially someone who's highly coveted like Dominic McKinley. But we'll see. Tennessee will keep swinging there. We'll see if they can get him to campus here in the month of January. If they do, then maybe they got a puncher's shot. If they don't, then it will be over.
What was the stadium that bad, or was Will overhyping it, Austin? Because Will said it's probably top 10 terrible stadiums in Orlando. Top two. Was it that bad, Austin?
Well, I tell you what, when Brent Hubbs comes in on Friday, ask him that question. I think the quote as we left the stadium last night was, the next time I come back will be too soon, or something like that. So Will's assessment of top 2 worst stadiums he's been to, it might be up there. I mean, it was what it was. I mean, like, there was a game between white lines I watched. I mean, it was weirdly, oddly configured for media. It was strange in a lot of ways, but
It was worse than the construction site down the road. That's for sure, Austin. Austin Price of VolQuest joining us every Tuesday here at RKW. Austin, thank you as always.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Austin.
All right, there's Austin Price. I'm telling you, it was terrible.
It was that bad.
It was terrible.
Golly.
They did have cheese at nachos, though. That was kind of cool.
Heck yeah.
What was it, fire?
I didn't try them, but they looked good.
That sounds
supposed
good.
to try that, Will.
Nah. They had Pop-Tart stuff, too.
The weirdest thing, though, was seeing the Cheez-It symbol or Cheez-It drawn into people's heads on the sideline.
Yeah, Ramel Keaton has an NIL deal with Cheez-It.
He does?
So he had a Cheez-It, into his hair.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's awesome, Dan.
Get paid.
Why not?
Get paid, man. That's big time right there. I didn't realize that an idea. Never mind, that wasn't the dumbest thing I saw.
Go off,
cool. That was the coolest thing I saw this weekend.
Never mind, change my mind.
Changed my mind.
Headlines we've missed so far in the show. Coming up next, we'll take a look at yesterday's college football playoff semifinals. We'll catch up on your phone calls coming up next.
Happy New Year, good people. Right now, you're probably trying to whisk people out of your house. Some people have overstayed their welcome a little bit, and you're trying to figure out what to do. I'm here to tell you guys, going to a Predators game is the best thing to break that monotony up and just do something around this city, man. Number one, it's an awesome environment down at the bridge, or at the Stone, at Bridgestone. And tomorrow, yes, in 2 days, January 4th is Throwback Thursday, and the Preds will celebrate like it's 1998, coming off the big bowl game anyway. Guess what? The game will be 90s themed and include a ticket pack for the University of Tennessee fans who want to celebrate the anniversary of their 98 championship. Ticket packs include a UT and Preds co-branded hat and can be purchased at NashvillePredators.com/college nights. Check them out.
Tuesday morning continues at RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast. And if you're wondering, yes, it is Tuesday. Streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV and the 104.5 The Zone app. Ron Slay will stop by in a half hour, coming up at 9:20. That's right. 615-737-1045. Go ahead.
He popped up on me at the my Super Bowl, at my New Year's celebration, man. Came back from Mississippi. He showed up about 12 o'clock at the house.
Mississippi.
Yeah, that's
more about more evidence, Kayla, that this was not a chill New Year's celebration.
No, it was not chill at all.
Stop.
You had to have a golden ticket to get in.
Stop.
He said it was his Super Bowl. So, I mean, obviously it was his biggest party of the year.
What's wrong with you, Bird?
I've been hanging out with you too much. That's what's wrong with me.
I congratulated your Ravens. I don't even call them the RB word, man. I actually call y'all Ravens, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. See, Kayla did it. Start her off on the naughty side, Bert. You got to.
That's -1.
Ramon's getting stitches.
Yep.
He over here snitching.
Yeah.
Snitching.
It's all right.
I am, man.
To the phones, Uncle Bob. Up next, 615-737-1045. Good morning, Uncle Bob.
Hey, good morning, folks. Happy New Year.
You too.
Two things. How do these guys pick these spreads, these points? Real quick, Alabama, over and under was 46.5. They scored 47. And then the Tennessee was 35.5.
Yeah.
They scored 35. I mean, how in the world do they nail that down? I didn't lose a lot of money, but I could have won.
That's great.
Anyway, Happy New Year. Love y'all. It's going to be a great year. It's great to be at Tennessee ball.
Thank you, Uncle Bob.
Hey, now.
One of our favorites joining us this morning.
I like his dog the best.
Was that his dog? I couldn't even hear that.
I think his dog had the under. If you've been listening to this show, you know that I will send my future children to college based on Iowa unders and LSU overs.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it was impressive. Honestly, I was confused as to why Alabama was an underdog. And they knew what they were doing on that one, too.
They knew. I thought for sure Bama was going to do Bama-like things.
Me too.
But of course, I'm sure Bill O'Brien is smirking a little bit today, considering how Jalen Milroe kind of kind of tripped up right there too.
Did it feel like Alabama was doing a victory lap to the media before this game even started to y'all? Because maybe my perception could be off, but I kept seeing all these videos that were like, the trend where it's like, we're Alabama. Of course we're going to make the playoffs and everyone's going to be mad about it. I saw all kind of like viral trends of them. And I know you're in the playoffs. You've got to capitalize on that for social media. But it just seemed like they were already doing a victory lap before they did anything in the playoffs.
It was almost as if, and I noticed because they've been good for a while, it's like, yeah, we deserve to be here. Yeah, you guys don't. Because, and this was me, it's probably my orange-tinted glasses that I have on at time to time, but the picture they took with Mickey where Michigan and Harbaugh players was like hugging each other and smiling big time, Bama players was arms in hand and just with a little smirk on their face like, yeah, watch us demolish these dudes. And I got to give it to Michigan. Their defense was on fire. Like, it was, well, you said it. They took away Milroe's legs. But, Bert, I agree with you on that. It almost looked like, yeah, what y'all thought.
Like, dang, we made it here. Now we're just going to do it.
We're just going to do it.
Well, and it's interesting, too, in that game because it's like Michigan's defense in the first half was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then that third quarter, it's like Alabama adjusted. And obviously the run game was able to get going. But when it came down to what team had the more grit, and I think this is what you have said all year about Michigan, whether or not you like the whole thing or not, but, everybody against us or whatever the mentality's been, hand it to Blake Corum. Like, if you have Blake Corum on your team, you're a winner. Like, that guy is the hardest working guy in football I have ever seen. And that's coming back from a major injury. Like, that's impressive.
Probably second, third round guy still. I would think so. He's got a good enough game.
It's Michigan's first bowl win since the 2016 Citrus Bowl.
What?
6-game bowl losing streak for Michigan.
I didn't realize that.
Second longest active streak in FBS. 2015 season, Harbaugh's first at Michigan when they won the 2016 Citrus Bowl. I want to say that was over Florida, if I had to remember correctly.
Okay.
Do you think what Harbaugh's doing right now gives other coaches a longer leash? Because you look back over like 2 or 3 years ago, everybody wanted, they were like, oh, we're over it. We're over it. Get rid of him. Find somebody else. Ditch him to the bargain bin. But now, like, if you give guys long enough, who would have thought they would be able to build a program like that, you know?
And he made some staff changes
That's
too,
what I was
Bert,
gonna say. Yeah.
that I think really helped him out, especially the offensive line. So, but yeah, you have to sometimes give these guys a chance, and they were going to because he's a Michigan man. But in other places, they probably wouldn't have.
Recruiting differently, too. His athletes look different. I'll tell you, if there's longer leashes being bought, I'll tell you one place that has gotten a whole lot shorter, Ohio State.
Oh, yes, it
I think
has.
it's just complicated Ohio State way more on Ryan Day.
I think you're right, but I think what Harbaugh's done should be on Ohio State's side. Like, okay, Ohio State was kicking Michigan's ass for so long, and then Michigan finally got their get back. Like, that would mean to me the pendulum would have to swing in the other direction at some point. So you should stick by your man. Stand by your man.
But
You're
if
Michigan man.
If it holds true still, and they beat Ohio State again next year, I think that's when you kind of dud it out.
Oh, day's gone.
It would be a new
if
day.
They don't win.
Yeah.
And they've got guys that are transferring out left and right. They got to figure out their quarterback situation too. Is their quarterback? I don't know.
Love it.
Jason in Murfreesboro finishes off hour 3. Hey, Jason.
Hey, guys, I'll end on a good note, but I just want to say, y'all know what should have happened for this playoff. They just want to see 2 SEC teams. Yeah, Alabama pooped the bed against Michigan, but Georgia showed y'all why they should have been in the playoffs. They would have dominated. You remember 2 years ago, Alabama beat Georgia SEC championship. They come back in the playoffs and beat Alabama in the finals.
Who are you taking out, though?
Texas. Who did Texas lose to? Georgia lost to Alabama.
Texas lost to an undefeated Washington team. That's great. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who you're going to take out. Thank you for the call, Jason. But yes, Georgia is a very good team and could have easily won the national championship, but so could all of the other 4 teams of the playoff. Washington is undefeated and has won a lot of one-score games. They deserve to be there. I mean, they're in the national championship game, so you can't take them out when they made the national championship game. Ramon's got his feet up on the counter.
What is going on over here?
What are you doing?
It's just
You're charging up for a pal?
Yeah.
If I've said one thing, you guys need to be in Zone TV right now because Ramon Foster has the best looking knees in the game.
It's just his legs in the middle of the
game.
Thank you.
You
Must be
might
nice.
think like, he's a bigger fella. His legs might not look as good. His legs are looking sleek.
Tell him.
He could be on Baywatch right now.
And with that,
Does
we
he
will
have hairy
recap
legs?
what you've missed over the first 3 hours coming up next.
What's going on? 9 o'clock. Good morning and Happy New Year. From the 104.5 The Zone Studios, I'm Robert Walsh. Looks like the Vols got a good one as they took down Iowa 35-0. Nico Iamaleava finished 12 of 19 for 151 yards and a passing touchdown, while also adding 3 more on the ground to win the Citrus Bowl for the Vols. The college football playoffs delivered last night in the Rose Bowl. Michigan survives and advances against Alabama in overtime 27-20. Blake Corum scores from 17 yards out to give Michigan the lead. Jalen Milroe stopped at the 3-yard line in overtime to end the game. And in the Sugar Bowl, Washington left no doubt against Texas 37-31. Michael Penix finishes with 461 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Dylan Johnson added another 2, but suffered a leg injury and had to be carted from the field. So your national championship, 2 undefeated teams, Michigan, Washington, they're going to face off next Monday at 6:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour of the show. The fourth quarter of your Tuesday morning starts right now for the first time in 2024. Welcome to RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast. We are fueled by the best coffee in Nashville, locally owned and operated by lifelong friends turned business partners, designing 8th and Roast shops to feel welcomed, connected, and part of a community. Stop by and see them at any of their 4 Middle Tennessee locations: 8th Avenue, Charlotte, the airport, or the Broadview at Vanderbilt, right down the road from our Music Row studios. And if you are at the airport this morning or on the way there, it might be a good idea to allow more time than even you thought you might need.
Dude, it was crazy. Did you guys see the news reports about how bad the airport traffic was?
Your
I
girlfriend
did,
was
because
there.
my girlfriend is there right now, reporting live on
look
Good
at
Morning
you.
Nashville. Shout out Peyton Kennedy News 2. Said
Who?
that one guy told her, shut up, that they missed an international flight because the
goodness.
line to check bags was 3 hours long.
Oh my gosh, 3 hours?
3 hours long to check a bag for an international flight.
I saw a report where the line to even get into the airport was so bad in cars, people were leaving their Ubers and walking to the
I've
airport.
heard that before. So it happened again.
Quit coming to our town.
Can you even catch an Uber and make it in? No, you can't.
Let's
because
see.
the
All right,
route.
over under. Name that. Price is right. What do you think from our studio right now to the airport? What would an Uber cost?
Oh my.
$75.
I'm going to go with 60.
I'm gonna go with $52.
52. Let's see. Okay.
Carry the one.
He's efforting.
Survey says you're all losers.
What is it, less?
25.
Dang.
Oh, okay. We
No,
all.
no. You should have got a black car. How much is the black?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Ramon, we don't all have the facilities that you
Ramon
have.
can't be going in a regular.
You know
Ramon said.
Ramon is driving Uber Black because it was 53 for Uber Black, and you said 52.
There we go.
Can't hide money. Hide money, y'all.
It's broke people
Oh,
around.
goodness.
Ramon said, check the helicopter option. What's the helicopter option?
It's a private jet.
Now
also.
the next question is, how long until Uber sends me a push notification asking, still need a ride to the airport?
2 minutes.
Got any Ubers to sell?
Coming in the next 5 minutes for sure.
Thousands of drivers will be there.
Thousands of drivers will be there.
Man, you know
They're
the
making
At
reason.
the
money.
big Uber show.
I try to get an SUV every time because, one, I'm 6'6", okay? But here's the thing. You ever ordered Uber and that thing is a compact car? You
Yeah.
imagine me trying to get in and out of a compact car? I mean, come on now.
That's true,
Yeah, we can't have you
Ramon.
uncomfortable.
Come
you
on.
know?
I mean,
Ramon
life
can't
is-
sacrifice.
You
Look,
do need a bigger car.
I ain't gonna complain about a whole lot, but comfort is one of those things. I'm just like, all right, okay, it's a couple dollars. Let me borrow something, Will. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. Yeah.
If you missed our conversation with Austin
Oh.
Price in hour 3,
I swear I'm gonna fight him after
You
this.
should.
VolQuest and On 3, you can hear it as soon as the show ends, wherever you download podcasts. A very clear intent on what Tennessee's expectation is for 2024. And Austin is, with what I said on Twitter yesterday and what many are already debating on social media, Tennessee's aim next year is to be playing in the college football playoff.
Well, I think the expectation is to be in the college football playoff next year, and I think that should be the expectation. This is a team that's got a lot of the offensive line coming back. You like your running backs. I think, it's not yet proven in the offense, but I think you feel really good about the receivers with Chris Brazzell and some of the young guys coming in, potentially Brew coming back. I think they like the tight ends. Again, Holden State is going to have to learn to play with tempo. I mean, at Notre Dame, they played, one snap every 5 minutes, and here it's going to be one snap every 4 seconds. So it's going to be a little different for him, but that's why he's got spring practice to improve. And then defensively, you have a lot of key playmakers back across the board, led by James Pierce, who is, one of the nastiest defensive, playmakers in college football. So, I think this is a team that, can they get to Atlanta? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there are probably a few other teams that have a little easier path as far as schedule than Tennessee does. But with number 8 at quarterback, if he plays within himself and continues to do what Nico seems to do, which is just kind of be there in the moment and deliver, anything is possible.
Yes or no? As long as Nico Iamaleava is quarterback at Tennessee, the Vols should be aiming for a playoff berth.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, especially with resources, especially with his talent that he possesses. The unique ones, I don't even want to get into greatness talk or nothing like that, but when we're talking about unique recruits, this is what is supposed to be the expectation.
It is a quarterback-driven league in college football. I mean, that's what Austin Price was saying. Yeah. And yes, you need to have a guy like that if he is really what he is, and it looks like he's going to be that. You got to be in the mix every year he's here.
You do.
I think there's no question, especially considering the change in SEC East and SEC West and divisions no longer existing in the Southeastern Conference. What other possible tangible goal could you have other than making the playoff? And for the non-Tennessee fan that wants to say, oh, it's just like always, it's wait till next year. Well, let's go to the past before we go to the future, guys. The last 2 seasons, Tennessee would have been in contention for a 12-team playoff in November. Going into the Missouri game this past season, you were at a crossroads, and Tennessee took the wrong road in the way they played against Missouri. And Missouri would have been in a 12-team playoff by virtue of their win over Tennessee in November. It's pretty clear at this point, guys. It's been built now at Tennessee. The infrastructure is there. Now you got to win. And now you have to take the hardest step. There is no more excuse next season about a bridge quarterback, the way we used that for Joe Milton this year. There are no more excuses for Tennessee. Be in the playoff next year. That's where you should be.
And to your point, this is also where you get into that why you let a guy sit and grow. Nico's added, he said, about 20 pounds of muscle. You can see the operation of the offense through his arms, through his shoulder. I will say Austin was 100% correct in what his abilities are. I'll say the growth of understanding of eyes all the way down the field. Like, I think pocket integrity has to be a part of that too for him. And I know the starters weren't in. But when you talk about expectation and the potential of what this guy at quarterback can do on top of the weapons offensively. And again, I saw the comments on social media about Tim Banks' defense. The defense has been monstrous. Has it missed in some Florida? It missed. Second half of Alabama, it missed. Oh my God, Missouri, it missed. But you know what you do? You know that going into next spring. Mm-hmm. You know the expectation of the young guys that you have moving forward. Those type of misses, though, will, to that point, no matter how good he is, the defense can't miss those 3 games. 2, all right, maybe one of those. Right. One of those. Because when you look at Alabama, that's their issue. They had 1 blemish. That was it. And they got into the college football playoffs. So, yes, I think that is the expectation moving forward, especially when you have a guy that we saw since the last 2 quarterbacks we've had at Tennessee, Vols. He has made those passes and decisions, I think, a little bit more fluid than they have, even with Hendon. You even said that earlier, Will. Even with Hendon, we saw some plays that sailed. We saw some passes that hit the ground. What was that? Other than Nico's pocket presence as far as getting down and trying to scramble yesterday, when he got sacked, the 6 sacks that he got, 5 or 6, whichever one it was, 6. You saw a fluid offense, I thought.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, and that helped to have the run game be able to do what it did, which you hope that continues next season, because you were able to see the run game this year do, for the most part, what it needed to do. But Joe Milton just wasn't the same as talent-wise as maybe Hendon Hooker and what we could see in Iamaleava. So when it comes to the future, I think this is the best way, building confidence in your team, building confidence for himself, being able to get out there and kind of show the world, like, hey, I'm the new guy on the block when it comes to college football. Now, whether he can handle that pressure or not moving forward, I absolutely think he can. I think he's got that cool, calm, collective type of personality that you really do kind of want in a quarterback, that when things don't go right, they can pull it out, right? Yeah. They can pull out a victory. Kind of what we saw in Bryce Young in certain situations a year ago.
Oh.
Speaking of the defense, Jordan Moore, radio host at Knoxville, posted this on Twitter yesterday. Tennessee finishes the 2023 season holding their opponents to 20.6 points per game. That is the second lowest points per game allowed by Tennessee in the last 15 years and the fifth lowest in the last 19 years. A couple of teams that you were on, actually 3 teams, Ramon, that you were on, are the top 3, 05, 06, and 08. And for all the conversation about how bad 05 and 08 were, there were some good defenses in 05 and 08.
It was some terrible offense.
There was some terrible offenses.
And quarterback play,
John
too.
Chavis was still getting after it.
Trust me, we felt it in practice. Chief!
Then 2015, they allowed 20 points per game, and then 2023, 20.6.
Can you imagine if the secondary gets shirt up?
Oh, my gosh.
Like, come on now.
You do have to question that, but if that rush gets home.
Right. And I think it only improves. I really do think it will improve. I know you got new faces, but it's almost like, hey, fresh start, let's go.
I think the Lipscomb Academy grad Caleb Beasley is going to factor in year one as a true freshman, too.
Sure.
Safety, right?
Corner.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I've seen that guy play in person, I think that's an immediate talent that's going to get on the field for Tennessee.
Yeah. Also trending so much, too. Can we, Vols fans, can we not take on the Michael Penix Jr. thing, please?
What's going on?
We got enough battles.
Well,
What's going on?
He was a Tennessee commit for about a month.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
And then went elsewhere because he was a better fit.
Yeah, and that's simply what it's just like trying to jump on the Caden Salter train at Liberty or whatever.
He was all
the case
injured
Well,
anyway.
he at least got to campus at that point.
Yeah, he was injured at Indiana anyway.
Exactly.
So.
And, of course, he's going to be pushed to the forefront of all draft boards. Michael Penix, he can spin it, but, of course, you got to worry about the medical and all that type of stuff this year. I think this is a solid quarterback group coming out this year. It'd be fascinating to see where they fall.
But don't we say that every year? I did like this one better than last year, but we'll see.
Bo Nix is going to be fascinating. Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr., the two that I got my eye on, was like, okay, how much hype is going to be surrounding it, and where were they actually
And
fall?
Jaden Daniels, like, really, where is he going to go? Like, is he – because he's crawling up those draft boards.
We had somebody in the chat saying the Titans should draft Jaden Daniels today.
We did. We sure did.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So if you wonder what the Evan and Bank chat has been like today, you listening right now could join it and raise the IQ level.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of takes in the Evan and Bank chat.
That's what the Titans need to do is draft a quarterback for the 3rd straight year.
I had my buddy text me, said, Control, Alt, Delete.
Yeah.
If this is another boring first round, guess what? It means you own to something.
That's so funny.
615-737-1045. Coming up next, it is Tuesday, if you needed that reminder.
Yes.
We'll throw another reminder at you coming up next. His name is Ron Slay of 3HL.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, man. I tell you guys all the time, man. The reason I like Hiller is because I use Hiller, and Hiller's always been good to me, man. They've been in business here since 1990, and it's family-owned and operated, okay? Their motto is this, is 100% true. 100% satisfaction of happy you'll be or the service is free. They stand by that, okay? If a customer isn't pleased with the work performed, they'll make it right. You can learn more about that at happyhiller.com. But here's the thing. The professional, experienced, trustworthy technicians come into your home and leave it clean and better than they found it. Care is their core value. They believe that when you care about others, everybody wins. Y'all know my motto, everybody eats, okay? Hiller, they embody that same motto. They'll take care of the customer on every job, every single time. And they offer true transparency pricing too, okay? What does that mean? Is that Hiller will line item what every part on the job is up front so homeowners can easily understand what they're paying for and why. You won't look at that and say, what was that? No. They will tell you exactly what it is. If you need anything done around your house, whether it be plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical, reach out to the folks that I trust at happyhiller.com.
Fourth and final hour of the first show of 2024. It is RKW brewed by 8th and Rose. 615-737-1045 is our number. Ron Slay will join us in moments. Tennessee basketball back on the hardwood tonight, taking on Norfolk State.
What are they ranked right now? Didn't they move up a little bit?
They are up to number 5 in the newest Associated Press Top 25.
Shinko.
Okay.
They that was announced yesterday during Nico Mania.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yep.
Getting into SEC play here soon.
Saturday against Ole Miss, who is still undefeated in college basketball.
Really?
Yeah.
That's big time right there.
One of my favorite Twitter follows, Bunky Perkins, who is a big college football follow and an Ole Miss fan, keeps tweeting they are the most undefeated team in the country.
That's great.
Of all the undefeated teams, they're the most
They're the
undefeated.
most.
That's fair.
That's good.
We'll see. We'll see. Chris Beard coming back to Knoxville, former
Okay.
Texas coach.
Okay, that should be a good time then.
So the question I have for college football fans, so this has been a college football heavy show. I know we'll get back with Brent Bryan and talk Titans and Jags a little bit tomorrow, but why are people so afraid to give Tennessee high expectations in 2024?
Because we're unbearable, Will. That's why.
Is that it?
Yeah, it is. And it's just because Tennessee been so bad in this current state of college football that you don't think you're supposed to be good. Oh, yeah, you guys got a new quarterback. Honestly, Tennessee's caught the bad end of a lot of things that happened. The Heisman, right, with Peyton. Like, that was one of those moments right there. You look at Coach Foreman, the allegations on, him in Alabama, that's a black eye at times. You look at the idea that, you always get beat by Georgia or Bama each year because you have to play them in Florida. Like that. Like, Tennessee's got to prove a lot. I'm not going to be having orange tinted glasses, that type of stuff. We do have to go prove some stuff. It has to be, to your point earlier about hypo, sustainable. Like, now you're not questioning what the future is or a bridge quarterback or what the expectation. You know what they are now. They're there in front of you. And you can't have games the way you did against Missouri or losing to a terrible Florida team. I'm getting worked up over here talking about that type of stuff because that's the reality of how the Vols have been. The consistency level, what you're supposed to be, just haven't shown up when those moments do pop up. And again, Bama lost yesterday to a team they probably shouldn't have, or at least they thought they were better than, considering they got put in over Florida State. But you also got to look at it and say to yourself, go Vols!
What up, Joe?
Ron Slay's here.
How?
He's in the building.
But they do got to cash those checks eventually. The Vols do have to cash those checks when it come down to turning on the lights in those moments. Nico's going to have a lot of pressure, and it ain't going to be because of us, fans. I think it's going to be because of people want to see it look bad, too. Like, they talked more, I thought, about Iowa yesterday in the opening and just gave Tennessee, like, oh, yeah, and the Vols are playing. Like, that's the way it was yesterday, too. So until we figure out if we're a top 5 defense, a team, or offense, or this offense isn't gimmicky, and you start putting more and more players in the NFL, and these guys make All-American lists and stuff like that, that's going to be the public perception. And plus, we always fight back on social media. We always fight back on social media.
Yeah.
Dude from Iowa yesterday was like, look at my impressions. Did you get
Twitter.
paid from that? No. Well, shut up then. Yeah, we will argue with you on social media.
Ron Slay is here. Ron, welcome.
What up,
dog? What up, dog? What's happening? Happy
Oh.
New Year, good people. What up, KK? What up, Will Lee?
The
How was
most
the broadcast?
sharply dressed
Yeah.
color commentator this side of the Mississippi.
Hey, man, listen, man. Bert, man, my dog back here in the back, man, he always give me some little, y'all don't, I don't like revealing my reps, but
Right.
I will say my dog,
Only your ops.
he shoots me, a little care picture package, if you will. Like, hey, dog, you should try this. And I'll be like, okay, let me try it, Bert. So, my boy do a little bit more than just behind the glass, man. Appreciate that, Bert. I ain't mean to reveal that to
Go.
everybody.
Hey,
You know
I
what
got
I'm saying?
you back, man.
That's what my dog do.
Your
You feel
lawyer,
me?
he gives you great
It's
advice.
reps. You got to have high
Yeah.
reps, high-ranking reps, man. It's been fun, though, man. I tell you what, though. I woke up on New Year's. First of all, fried.
What?
Sure.
Laid to the side.
Like a fish?
I think the Iowa quarterback did, too.
That's a big boy.
Jared Lorenzen Jr.
That's
out
exactly
there.
what I thought
May
of when
he
I was
rest in
watching
peace.
him. Like, dude, like that man couldn't move.
Who's not good.
You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, hey, boy, you got to have you a mobile quarterback, dog. That's why probably offense like that.
He was a mobile home quarterback.
Yeah, that man.
He's literally like corn growing like on the husk.
It's over. Like,
That's all.
I'm not going nowhere. Yeah, he wrong. He wrong.
Yeah, get him up out of here,
At some
Savage.
point, we at least got to draw the line. You know what I mean? But
New Year, same me, buddy. Don't you worry about it. Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
Hey, dog, I come up, man, and I pop in the mirror, and I look. No, I got a pimple right here.
Oh, don't touch it. Don't do that.
It's aggravating the hell out of me, KK.
Just put a patch on it. I am the skin advice girl. Do not touch it.
What's a patch like what,
It's
though?
like a pimple patch, and it'll go away overnight.
Okay.
Shoot, I should have brought you one.
I try to use my little face wash. I guess my face wash ain't been doing the trick. You know what I mean? But I was just thinking, like, man, that was a little sign like you was just too fried. Like, hey, look at yourself. So the pimple made me go look at myself, and I was looking, and I was like, yeah, I got to pull back just a little.
Was not happy with you.
This wasn't right. That wasn't the right way to come in here, Slay. You know what I'm saying? But it was fun.
My dog showed up.
I came to
tell them real quick.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just a cooler get together at the crib.
You trying to downplay this?
It was cool. It was cool. It was nice though.
And he says, but we had a bartender.
Yeah. And I had a celebrity bartender in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really like to push the... I don't like,
tell us this.
Yeah, I don't like to push the buttons or anything, you know what I mean, and try to put everybody's stuff out there, but I'm just saying, I don't do nothing like that, Willie.
I love pushing the buttons.
Push that
Slay, would you say that this get-together was more of a kickback, or would you say that this was a gathering?
It was more. I'm gonna give it more of a kickback feel by the time I got there. I think it was a gathering at first. You got to realize I got there after 12, so right there by 12. So it was yeah. But it was still hey, don't think that you couldn't got what you was looking for at 12. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
That's a party.
Some would suggest that, KK. You know what I mean? Just depend who you are is suggesting it. That's all I'm saying.
You
know?
get the hell out of here. You keep giving him what he want out here, okay?
Hey, it was a good time though, y'all. It was a good time. You know. I'm proud of you.
How much did you tip the valet?
Oh, no. See, it was I think valet had already left because I just saw a dude coming through the gate with a little red jacket. And it couldn't have been Santa. You know what I'm saying? Because that was past it. No, it was red, one of them red valet. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Was it Nick Saban?
No, I think he was worried about where they looking at plays.
He's got his own
He was
dealership.
focused
He's
on
good.
something different.
Ramon hit me up and was like,
time out.
Hey, man, you trying to make a little money? And I thought he had like a business deal, maybe an investment opportunity. But no, he wanted me to come valet cars at his New Year parties.
Hey, you would have came up.
You would have been balling.
Those celebrities probably tip well who were there.
You would not want me to drive your car on New Year's. I'll tell you that right now.
See, Bert was like me.
Probably farting it.
Thought it was a sports show. I hope your window's still down outside, Bert. I hope there's a bird in there.
How we get to this, Andre?
Yeah, how we get to this? Because you was talking about how hard
I'm talking about pimples and
you
stuff.
talking about pimples and stuff, and how you brought in New Year and everything, and go Vols, and you woke up at like 1 o'clock or something.
Yeah. No, I received a message from Savage, and I looked at it, I was like, dang, he talking about the game. How's the game on? Well, about 1:30 in real time, in real actual time right now. You missing this, like you got to get up at some point.
Nico run for 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, he already had
Yeah.
to. Yeah. Savage told me, man, you got to get up and see this. I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's exactly what I told you. You need
That's
to wake up and see this.
Yeah, I was like, all right, dog. Okay, let me get on up, man.
Does he have his own guest room?
Who, Savage?
Yeah.
Oh, Savage.
Come on, man.
Caleb.
Oh,
we can
okay,
go
more than
on
a
and
guest
on
room.
about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm all Alexa. I'm next thing to Zeus in that house. You know what I'm
Look
talking
at
about? You feel me? It's the parents, it's the kids, and then it's Zeus and me. Yeah, we right there at the same chair. Yeah. We got any access in and out. Zeus roam in and out. I roam in and out.
Well,
Like
it's safe to say Tennessee made Iowa look like the pimple of the Big Ten yesterday with the way they dispatched them in the first half. What did you like the most? About the
I'm
performance?
gonna go, man. The pressure that they were able to put on the big quarterback,
Jared Lorenzo Jr.?
Yeah. What's his name though?
Deacon Hill.
That's a hell of
With a name like Deacon.
That's all right.
gotta
He
be
got to
slow.
be playing D tackle with that name. But it's it was good to see that, man, because I think you come into it and you know you got to protect your back end. You know when it comes to your corners and your safeties and that, and you don't want to put them in a situation. Even though I was not known for just passing, you still got some young guys out there and got a lot of guys that opted out. So how do you offset that? You got to get to the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And then you also have to play physical enough to make them pass. You know what I mean? Shut them down with the run out and then make them get in the third and long situations where they have to pass. And I thought they answered the bell. I think the tackles did a great job of marring them. They came to play. But Pierce and Tyree West, like he's got Elijah Simmons. Can we get Elijah Simmons healthy throughout the year? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Honestly.
couple him with Norman Lott and whoever they were to throw as a fourth D tackle to come in there. I think it's going to be great. But you got to get guys healthy and they got to sustain it. But these guys coming off the edge, it's going to be different. You know what I'm saying? And they're not backing off as far as going to get edge guys. Like, they should have 2 more that emerge next year. You like, whoa, you scratching your head like, how do they keep on getting these guys? Like, and become DNU or something. You know what I'm saying? But these guys, man, they focused in, they locked in, and it looked like they played with a togetherness. So I was impressed by that as well. So being able to get to the quarterback and apply pressure and a shutout on Alba, I think is pretty good. You know what I mean? And you scoring 35 points regardless if you had to run to get it, however you did it. Scored 35, of course. James Pierce Jr. with the interception, dropping him in the coverage. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. I think that automatically shows, and I think that's tinkering with things. But you showed now he has the ability to drop in the coverage, which, man, you already got a game plan from him coming off the edge. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. You keep your eye on him now. He might drop, and he taking it to that. That man was fast.
He's turning himself into an NFL prospect by the way he's doing other things.
Yeah.
And with 5-star Under Armour All-American who's right down the road, and Jordan Ross, who will come into Tennessee's defense next year, Slay.
He looked like he got the same build as him almost, too.
He does. Yeah. It's interesting how we've been having this conversation this morning, how people who are not Tennessee fans want to belittle the expectations of what Tennessee already is now and what they've built. Because the next step for this program now is to make the college football playoff. Yet, you mentioned that, and Austin Price says it, and I said it, and many of us have said it. And people want to shake their head and say, well, it's all classic Tennessee. It's always next year is our year. Well, I didn't say it was our year.
Yeah.
I said that's the next step in the process, right? Why are people so afraid to say that Tennessee can make the playoff next year?
Man, it's the Battle syndrome a little bit just creeping back in. It's a lot of people that not used to having nice things. So when you get them, you know what I mean? Like sometimes they break and you be like, man, I ain't having it anyway. It was supposed to happen that way. You know, it was lucky that I got it anyway. You know, so you look at this situation, and I think it's actually good. Because you had the Joe Milton situation with him being the quarterback, and that team didn't get 11 wins, 10, you know what I'm saying? You was thinking that this team was going to be the one challenging, and they didn't. So I think it was a little bit of pushback. But if you look at it like you're talking about in the overall aspect of it, this is right where they need to be. You know what I'm saying? Like you just got ahead of your schedule a little bit with what Hendon was able to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you took a leap. And then you came back to earth a little bit. Now you're back into the progression of where you wanted this team to start to be, what this program to start to be, as far as taking the steps to get to that point of being in the playoffs. So I never really understand Vol Nation when they get to acting this way. But I mean, it is what it is. I think coming into this situation, it did give coming into this year, it will give people hesitancy. Is that a word?
Yeah, you got it.
Hesitancy. Yeah,
that was perfect.
Why did I pronounce it that way though?
It's
worked out.
Oh, because it's a Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, like a hesitancy. It gives them a hesitancy, you know what I mean, about putting expectations on this team. And it's like, hold on, just relax and let the games happen. Instead of, man, we got Nico. Oh, man, we all win it. You know what I'm saying? Like, keep
Somewhere
all the
in the
hoopla
middle.
cool. Yeah, simmer down and enjoy it. I think this right here, what we went through this past year, lets everybody know, man, get in the moment, stay in the moment. Yeah. If that's what I'm taking from it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no need in looking ahead and being, man, we seen Joe Milton come out the Orange Bowl. He was throwing it everywhere. Ramel Keaton going to take that leap. He going to be the next Tillman. None of that happened. You know what I'm saying? So now let's watch, believe what your eyes show you, and not look ahead. Like it's right there. It's on the platter for you. This is what they are. They're showing you what they are. Stay right there with it.
I agree with that, man. I got to ask you this, too.
What up, dog?
Titans on Sunday. Where was you at, dog?
Where was I at?
What was you at in just the mindset of watching Will Levis get hurt again? The O-line troubles that they have, but also 3 points.
Well, man, listen, man. Coming down the back roads of Mississippi, it's difficult to get any kind of service.
At all.
I mean, you hit a point, and it's like, you know what? We don't really deal with phones, so cut all of them. If you ain't got a landline to get some Ethernet, and you don't need Wi-Fi, you need Ethernet cord to plug into your phone, then, dog, you don't deserve to look at anything that's going on in the world. Like, we just need to be right here in this in a time capsule in Mississippi. Yeah. Like, that ain't a bad place, but that's a weird place, man. Like,
it's different.
It's very different. Somebody needs to go down there and elevate that whole entire state up a little bit. Like, they are stuck.
Seems like it.
Whoa!
Not in the 1900s, in the 1800s.
How do you not have street lights and phone service? Like, you can't make it in life without that. Like, when the sunset part is over, like, y'all can go home. Appreciate y'all coming. Y'all be safe getting home. Like, that was amazing. No street lights. But anyway. So, when I'm watching it in the game is, it's buffering every, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and I can't follow it. So I just start kind of following it on Twitter, and I before I could get back to watch it. This right here.
There it is.
Hey man, I'm trying. You know the moments, man, when you start crying, and then you like, no, this ain't. Don't cry, laugh. So you gonna laugh to keep from crying. Then people looking at you like, dude, the person at the funeral, you like. Man, why dude over there laughing? He had to act silly. This ain't the time. But he's really laughing to keep from crying because he would be uncontrollably crying. Like, you would wonder about him. That's why I am. Like, this team that went out there and played against Houston, I'm trying to figure out, like what was the goal? Like, that's what I need to know. I need some. You know how you go in the locker rooms? I'm trying to find the words for y'all, man. You go in the locker room after games and you clean up. And you know how some teams will leave a lot of them snatch it off, but the game plan and you know what I'm saying, like, and what the game, like, I want to go in the Titans visiting locker room and see what they had up. Like, this is what we gonna accomplish. Just 3 things: 1, 2, and 3. And I'm almost willing to bet my salary that it was blank by those. I'm not like, cause I'm like
X's.
I'm like it's like. I can understand if I walk in there and see it says "get through it." That may have been in quotes,
and some didn't because they got hurt.
Get through it, and I would be like, that's what they look like. They was trying. They look like they tried to get through it. At some point,
you sound frustrated.
I'm trying to figure out what we were doing because I'm lost. You know what I'm saying? As a Titans fan, I'm sitting there looking like, okay, Derrick Henry went over 1,000 yards. That is woo. D-Hop, he over 1,000. Okay, Will Levis hurt again. Okay, Tannehill, this line, hey, dog, it's just so much.
It is.
They should have just left the left tackle position open for the day.
And you know what I mean? And like, we just going to run away from it. And I think it all would have been cool. I think it would have been better. Even if they would have put everybody on the right side defensively and left that side open, still don't run over there. Yeah. Like it's a trick. That's a mirage. It's not really open over there, dog. There's not a person over there playing tackle. It's a lot going on, man.
It's a lot going on.
I don't know what to expect with Jacksonville still having an opportunity to win the division Sunday. What are the Titans going to roll out there at home?
Jacksonville going to want to embarrass.
Let's talk about it.
Exactly.
And
Coming
it could
up
be
next.
CJ Beathard.
Franklin, Tennessee's own. We'll discuss that and more with Slay. A little Week 18 preview coming up.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for Window Nation. Kayla, we know we feel it today. Winter is here. The air is getting colder this weekend. It's supposed to be a little freeze too. But your energy bills be at all-time highs. Now is the time to replace those windows with 0% financing for 5 years and 50% off all style windows that you choose from. Now is the time to protect your family from the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home.
Yeah, you were talking about those cold temperatures and you want to keep the heat inside your home this winter. Maybe you need new windows from Window Nation because you can save up to 30% on those energy bills. And then, heck, it carries over to the summertime when you're pumping up the AC here in Middle Tennessee. Window Nation does it the right way. They have installed over 2 million windows, 96% perfection, making them one of the top window companies in the entire country. And whoever you have coming to install those windows, they're going to do it the right way because the average installer, over 16 years of experience, over 20,000 windows installed. So do yourself a favor in the new year. Maybe this is a resolution to get new windows from Window Nation. You can do it now. And it's simple. Call 866-90NATION or go online to windownation.com.
Ramping up the show on RKW, brewed by 8th and Rose. Glad to have you with us to start off the new year. Appreciate Austin Price and Ron Slay for stopping by this morning. Ron Slay in studio with us. I have a proposition for you, Slay.
I'll talk to him. My
So
bad.
on YouTube right now, not on YouTube, I'm looking at the YouTube stream, on eBay right now, you can buy the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl hot tub used.
With the water still in it and everything?
I guess so. Used, local pickup only in Orlando.
Wow.
How much do we want to guess the hot tub from the Citrus Bowl costs?
Is it a mouthpiece in there? Floating.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
Is it operational?
It looks
a lot of big guys
looks
that were
like
in
it is
there.
operational. It is up for auction.
They probably getting away by it.
Is there a bid on it already?
There
Or
are
is
2 bids. So 2 bids.
700.
500.
I go 850.
Bert?
I'm gonna say 400 just because it's low right now.
510.
What?
$510.
500.
After
KK
2
is.
bids.
850.
KK, yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
So if we want to put that in this studio, I think it'd fit right behind Caleb. back
Do
there.
it look like a weird, like who's having a small hot tub like that?
I got a buddy in Orlando,
Like
so
it
we
was-
could make this
It's
happen.
like a 4-seater.
Yeah.
Like,
Perfect.
like, why would that be in a stadium?
Oh, goodness.
A 4-seater. Like, if you're going to do that, you ought to have something ginormous that's, sitting there like 20 people can get in here.
Exactly. Party hot tub,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Tennessee
Like,
players
what
were
was that?
jumping in it yesterday.
Yeah, and I was scared one of them was going to drown.
They
Like,
were in
was
there
jumping on
more
top
than
of each
Iowa.
other.
They were there more than Iowa was in the end zone.
Oh.
You couldn't help it on that
Couldn't help
vision.
himself.
You had to go get it.
Couldn't be my team.
Ain't my team.
So week 18 this Sunday at Nissan Stadium, noon, Titans and Jags.
Keep dragging me back in here.
I know. Do we have to go
Come
back
on
there?
back in the hot tub.
We have to go
I'm trying
back
to
there.
get out of this water. I do not like this water.
some chlorine
Like
in
hot dogish water.
What's the mode for Sunday? Just celebrate?
I want to. Mine is gonna be Fan Appreciation Day.
There we go.
Cause I'm gonna be real, like dog. It's what they've been putting out there, and you know what? Let me correct that. The results they've been getting. Yeah. Then these fans been showing up. Like dog, they've been loud, man. At times when they need to be loud, like it's dope to see. Cause I walk into every game like, man, I don't know what they're gonna do on this, and then you look up and it's a game in the fourth, and fans get loud, and it's like, dang, like give them something. So mine right here, fan appreciation. They might need to cut. I don't know. I ain't gonna say that. I was gonna say they might need to cut,
I was excited for
cut the
what you were
tickets
gonna
down
say.
to about
Okay.
$10 and let everybody get in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like this.
It's free.
Yeah, like come on, y'all. You know what I mean? Let's come on in here.
Last
Let's have a
time
good
it'll be
time.
this
fans
bad.
showing up.
Yeah,
Last time it'll be this bad.
It's gotta be Savage.
Okay.
With what's expected from the GM, with what they get to play with in salary cap, the free agency market, when you talk about being able to hit on key pieces, the draft, Vrabel, I like Vrabel being under a spotlight. And I feel like walking into this season, he's going to be under a spotlight. It ain't going to be the same Tennessee Titans flying under the radar. That's cool for the team. But him, Coach Vrabel, I feel will be – is a lot of eyes going to be on him like, dog, what you going to get done right here? You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be – this had to be the worst.
And I would say there's
That'd
going to
be
be
the worst
probably some staff changes.
Should be.
We don't know which ones yet, but I think you're right. The pressure is not only on the team. I mean, it's on Vrabel to now maybe change some things that he's been a little stubborn with in the past. Like, this has to happen
I agree.
now.
I agree. I think that's exactly where you are. Like, you got to evolve at some point. And if you have a season this bad, you can't walk back into the school year doing the exact same thing if you made all D's. Like, you got to change those. You got to change your study habits. Maybe you need to write some goals down. Maybe you need to get a tutor. Like, maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe you should cut out some after-school activities. Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't need PE. Maybe you need
Study hall.
Study hall.
Sure.
Yeah, let's get that as an
Tutoring.
elective. Like, you got to switch up. Maybe cut back on 2 lunches. You know what I mean? Maybe just go 1 lunch, like a normal person. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't go to all 4 lunches. So, I mean, something's got to change. Something do got to change.
What?
Did you do
went to
4?
everybody else's
What?
lunch?
Yeah, well, no.
Easy.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
Yeah, I was in there.
Yeah, he didn't say that.
I didn't even need no ticket. I was on a free
Take that bathroom
free
key
lunch
with you,
program.
too.
Didn't need it. Yeah, I used to give my little tickets away. The men and lunch ladies we was here.
I know
Get a
where
bond.
Slay will be
Yeah, what?
this weekend. Is the last Titans VIP tailgate your last
That's
opportunity
right.
to party with
That's,
Slay?
that's
Appreciation
right.
Day
Yeah,
at the
that's
VIP
right.
tailgate.
Yeah. You still got to pay to come in there because the one thing about that, the party don't stop it now. It's a bar set, and we live up to it, and we exceed that every single time. I don't care if we got 2 or we got 340, 50 people. It don't matter. Like, it's going down in there, man. So VIP Titans tailgate, right at the Bridge Building. You can't hit the QR code when you get to the gate. Boom. Come on in. 4 floors of heaven.
Your last opportunity to party with Slay this football season.
And I do pull the funnel out.
Yeah,
I pull the funnel out. Yeah, so you can be prepared for a real live party. And we got tamed floors as well. So
You got like the kids zone,
yeah,
right?
third floor, you can get down there. Kids can play the Xbox stations and all that, and then listen to games. And then you come back on the 4th floor, and it's wild horse saloons like style. You know what I mean? People walking on bars and stuff is weird.
Play a couple
But, yeah.
games there, and you'll be ready to beat the baby Titans.
Hunks, baby Titans.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
Hunks been winning.
Easy.
wow,
Hunk went into overtime, and they gave him the ball again.
Man, he's the Justin
the-
Fields.
I've never heard.
He wants to start winning at the end of the season when it don't matter anymore.
The Justin
We got to stop hyping him up at the end of the season.
You can hear Ron Slay 3 to 6 on 3HO. You can watch him with the bow tie or with the regular tie or anything in between on SEC Network as well. We are back at it tomorrow for the second show of 2024. And for the first time this year, Ramon Foster gives you words of wisdom.
Hey, good people, you must remember at all times your Twitter fingers and mic is always hot.